Hello, and welcome to We Got Issues, the only comic book podcast that will passionately say that Jeph Loeb is the Schrodinger's cat of comics. You never know what you're getting until you crack open that book. It could be The Long Halloween, or it could be Ultimatum. Hi, I'm Brian Compton, aka BComp, and joining me as always is the Mario to my Luigi, Josh Markwith. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Thank you for letting me be Mario in this scenario.
Oh, I'm
Like
taller.
no,
I'm
that's
not.
true. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going with that one. All right.
I always like green. The thing is, I was always a Luigi guy. I always liked the green because the green was my favorite color. So that's what I did, man.
Luigi always made me like. Oh, actually, I did like Luigi. Like on Mario 2, like because he had
Okay.
that delayed jump or the
Jump, yeah,
the
those little
stuff.
wings like flopping through the air.
Yeah. And did you see the new movie,
I have
the
not.
Mario Galaxy?
I'm gonna take my kid eventually, so don't spoil anything for me. Not that there's much
I
to
haven't
spoil,
seen
I'm
it.
sure. Oh, okay, there we go.
Um,
Well, Josh, before we go too off track and digress too much, I believe we have someone special joining us today. Is that correct?
no, it's not
Oh, no,
correct.
okay. Okay, it's not correct.
It's like leading into your own
special.
script. No. And today, but yeah, we have a special guest because we're getting more guests on our show now, which is kind of crazy. Like Derek's a longtime listener to the show. He's a former colleague of ours, an
Mhm.
extraordinary producer, and just an overall great guy. This is Derek Johnson.
Hey, Derek!
Hey, come in.
Thanks for having me, guys. I don't know what I deserve to do to get on this, but I am a super fan. You guys,
Well, I was gonna say,
I love the
That's
show.
what it was.
I was gonna
There's
say,
dozens of you, so
yeah,
we're
dozens.
gonna eventually have all the super
Okay.
fans. So next up is my mom. So we're gonna have each super fan.
Well, I was gonna say, people in low places when the low places are us. So,
Yeah.
well, and actually that really does bring us to a good point. Before we start getting into who you are and all that, let's tell them about the book we're doing, and let's talk a little bit about Derek. We're chatting today about one of the most well-known Batman stories from the last 25 years. It's really been about 25 years, hasn't it?
That's
Crimey.
pretty crazy.
Yeah, that makes me depressed.
That's pretty crazy.
It's the
a quarter of a
storyline.
century away.
Yeah. It feels like I just read this book in singles. We're doing Batman Hush.
Yeah,
of course,
and
before
we
we
want to
do that-
mention. We'll mention though.
No, go ahead.
Derek's the one that brought that you wanted to discuss Batman Hush.
Yes.
Yeah,
He actually
yeah.
wanted to do Wizard
Yeah.
Magazine, but I said, nope, not yet.
I do want
I
to
know.
do Wizard magazine at some point. So all you super fans, comment on their social
Wizard
media.
magazine.
Oh, first critique of the show. You guys got to up your social media game. I mean, come on.
I
know you guys are both boomers, but got to up that Instagram.
It's
shots
very true.
fired. Shots
No,
fired.
I'm a boomer
very-
too.
No, it's very true. We need like a social media intern or somebody. I need to get somebody like that
Yeah.
posts more than just, hey, we have a new episode.
Yeah, I know.
You got to be
pretty
clipping
bad.
out
To
the
be fair,
gold, uploading it,
Yeah,
TikTok.
To be
Come on.
I've been I actually just met with one of our last guests, Gina Versa, and I was like, dude, I need help with the social media games. Like, all right, here's what you do. I'm like, all right, wow, that's a lot. Okay, I got 2 kids, man. But to that
Yeah.
point, Derek, I actually have been buying up old issues of Wizards, like from 99-cent bins whenever I find them. I have like about
Very
20 or
nice.
25 Wizard issues. So when we eventually do
Very
that, man,
nice.
we're gonna have some fun.
Love it.
Yes, go through all the Wizard casting, like when they casted all the comic book movies, and just
Oh,
how
yeah.
like
Mhm.
wrong they were, or
How wrong or accurate? Yeah.
Yeah.
They called, and they were right to do, when they did X-Men, they called Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I'm like, yeah, there's no one else. Like, there's literally no one else who could be Professor X but Captain Picard.
But I'm glad amongst your thousands and thousands of comics, you found another periodical to collect. All the
no.
Wizard magazines.
I know.
Don't
Goodness.
mention, she listens to the podcast. Don't mention this to my wife. Oh, she listens to the podcast. I'm in trouble already.
I love it though. I'm a fan of it.
He hides it behind. Like,
Yeah, a long box.
you have
Under the
you have
bed.
like a dust cover of a comic book over the Wizard magazine. Just
Well,
so you can
I
hide
put the
Wizard
porno
magazine.
mag. I put the porno
Yeah.
mag over
I
it,
know,
so
over
it's
the
just
Wizard
porn. It's just
magazines.
porn.
Yeah.
What was it in Back to the Future?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. But I am a fan of Hush. Yes. Yes.
Well, before
Doing
we
my
can
job
do
to
that,
steer it back on.
yeah,
track.
yeah,
Thank you.
getting us back on track. He's a good producer. See how he did that? Josh, do you want to tackle some sponsor copy for us?
Yeah. As everybody knows, we start off our show with a sponsor and a shout out to Duff and Shaw Snacks. And if you're looking for the best treats this side of Gotham City, you need to check out Duff and Shaw World's Famous Snacks. From green apple alien gummies to lemon cream Thunderbird almonds, these snacks and candy have been curated from the most mysterious and undiscovered places on planet Earth. Now head over to duffandshaw.com/issues today and check out all they've got and more. That's duffandshaw.com/issues, and helps out the podcast. You give and you get some great snacks and as well.
You
So
help
it's a
out
win-win-win.
I was gonna say, and you help out an old G4 alum friend of ours, Mike Shaw. We all know Mike Shaw in one capacity or another. Derek, I believe. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. And I've actually bought some Duff and Shaw snacks for
right,
this
you
podcast.
did,
I got the,
you
I got
did.
the variety pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You helped pay for probably a portion of the web services that keep us up.
Yes,
So
so
thank you,
thank you.
Derek.
Super fan
Thank you.
doing his part.
But so then you can attest. So like these snacks are like really
Yes.
good. Like we're not just
Hey,
Just-
we're not,
yeah, I
we're not
guess,
promoting the crowd. We're just from. No, go ahead. You say what you.
Yeah, I
want.
got some, I think the variety pack, and I got some, what is that, the Australian licorice stuff? It's
Yeah.
pretty
that's
good.
good. Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Well,
Heavy endorsement.
Heavy endorsement. Actually, I think all three of us have really enjoyed it. So yeah, go out
Yeah.
there, please buy some. It helps us, helps them, helps you. Win, 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 win.
And
We all win.
Derek, and I mentioned this like when we were introducing you last episode, but just another connection to Mike Shaw. Wasn't it like an Attack of the Show, like way back when I was on the intern, like way back when you would do the on camera body for Cobra Commander, and then Mike Shaw would
yes.
do the voice of
Yes,
Cobra Commander.
I was one half of Cobra Commander. I was
Yeah.
the in-costume stunt character pantomiming to the voiceover, the
Right.
live voiceover.
Of Mike Shaw. So there's a little.
Yeah, I
like,
need to
the-
update my IMDb. Thanks for reminding
I
me
think
there.
so.
You should put
yeah.
that in there, dude. Hey, I was Bane back in the day, and I still have that costume
I have
somewhere.
I have large dancing tooth as my IMDb page, so it's
Ironically enough, actually, I have Murdered G4 Staffer by Allison Brie. That's in my IMDb. I'm not even kidding.
Oh.
Like, yeah, Allison Brie murdered all of us in an episode, and I was on the ground dead. So anyway,
It's on the IMDb Pro. Wow.
So I've never even put anything in. Someone did it all for me. I'm like, that's great. Keep doing that, pal. Well, as you may have figured out by now, Derek is a longtime friend of ours. We worked together on several projects, from GeForce Attack of the Show to Nerdist to the Will Wheaton project to IGN Live. In fact, I think Derek and I are going to be working on that coming up in a few weeks. Can I say that? I can say that. Who cares? No one's listening.
Spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
spoiler.
Hell, and also real quick, I have two side notes to all this. Number one, Derek is the reason I met my wife.
Ooh,
that-
this is important.
I don't know.
lore.
This is a
And
true story. This is a true story. So I went over to Derek's house to play Magic the Gathering, and his house is his apartment out in K-Town. Played, I'm getting ready to leave, and he's like, dude, hey, one of our old G4 alums is throwing a birthday party around the corner. It's a karaoke
that's
bar.
right.
I'm like, dude, I'm not going to that. And you're all, dude, no, you have to go. You have to see everybody, like Corrado and Tori, and everybody's like, fine, I'll go. I walk in with Derek, and there's a woman singing across the bar, and she's singing Nirvana. I'm like, that woman is very attractive. I'm going to go talk to her. Lo and behold, cut to 10, 15 years later, I'm now married with two of her children. You know?
That is crazy. I kind of forgot that
Yeah.
you were
was
over at my place.
That's right.
Rarely
Ah.
does a story start with "I went over to my friend's place to play Magic and I met my wife." So that's
Hey,
rare.
on these podcasts, it happens.
It's a very rare air to hear Magic the Gathering and met my wife.
Marriage.
afterward.
Well, and the second part to all of this, so you're going to love this, Derek. So today I was at the comic shop picking up some books, and I was rooting through the dollar bin.
Big surprise.
Big surprise. And who should walk in but Will fucking Wheaton?
Wow.
I was like,
he's not a fake nerd. He's a real nerd.
Yeah, I walk up, I'm like, oh, there's Will. I'm like, and I was like, and I just walk up, I'm like, hey, Will, it's Brian. Or I said, hey, it's BComp from Will Wheaton Project. He's like, oh, BComp, how you doing, man? Chatted for a hot minute. He, ironically enough, was buying Hush and The Long Halloween. I was like, dude, like,
Oh, wow.
we're actually doing that on a podcast tonight.
Wow.
He's like, so I got to do homework for a thing I'm doing tonight. I'm like, well, good luck. And he's like, oh, it's good seeing it. Good seeing it. That was it.
Wow. I was
Talk about
asked on over Will. Wow.
What-
I feel
yeah.
honored.
There you
And
go.
He's probably listening right now.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I gave him some good tidbits. I'm like, hey, this book is basically this. And he's like, yeah. It's like, I remember I read it. It's in my, but this is easier to read. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not going to pull out an absolute edition and read that in my car. And I say all this because, as obviously I go back with Derek, I go back with Josh, but actually your guys' relationship predates both of mine with yours. Is that correct, Derek and Josh?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
because
I'm learning all the lore about myself.
I know, right? You're integrated and you're like
We do our
multifaceted
research.
with
Okay? We do our research.
I know, and you're multifaceted with the Markwith family too, because you worked a lot with my brother Nate.
Yes, that's
so-
true. Right.
So,
That's
but yeah,
right.
no, G4
I kind of started this podcast.
in a way.
This should be the
to be
Derek
to be honest,
podcast.
in a way, because
Kinda did.
the internship to Attack of the Show is what brought me to California. And Derek, you were in charge of the interns at the time. You had
That's
like
true.
the desk right in front of the entrance. That's where we all got all our
Gathered.
assignments. Yeah, and
Yeah.
got like where to go, what we needed to do, capture from the game lab or whatever. At the
Yes,
time,
and
too.
you were a stellar intern.
Oh,
Josh.
stop.
And Brian, I wouldn't say I was the cause of you marrying your wife. I would say you did the heavy lifting there. But yeah, it might have
If it
been
had not been
a
for you,
butterfly in that
this would
effect.
not have happened. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
it's a
the
butterfly
butterfly effect. It
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
was.
True.
So
Good
we've learned
times.
a little bit about you, Derek, but let's learn a little bit about your comic book history. Can you give us a little bit of your comic book background? Like first up, like what was your first comic books? Do you remember?
Well, I spent way too much time trying to dig up. I still have my first 2 comic books. And instead
That's
of
awesome.
researching, doing my homework for this podcast, I spent
No,
like
you're
40
right.
minutes trying to find them. Could not find them. I
Abs-
still own them. They're somewhere.
That's
But
awesome.
I did some Google research and
Mhm.
I did finally deduce what they were. We were on a family trip in 1990 to St. Louis, and my dad went out for some reason to get food or something, swung by a comic shop and got me my first 2 comic books. He read comics when he was a kid, and I was 6, I think. I was 6. No, I was 5.5. And he brought back 2 Spider-Man comics, Spectacular Spider-Man 167,
Oh, you got the number.
which-
You got the number.
which
Mhm.
was Spider-Man was battling night and fog. And it was, I guess, the first kind of mention of return of the Sinister Six. And he also
Nice.
got me Web of Spider-Man Web of Spider-Man 69, where
Okay.
Spider-Man's fighting the Hulk.
That's
And
awesome.
6-year-old kid in the early 90s, I was like, what is this? This is amazing. I think
is.
conceptually I knew about comic books, but I never owned any. And so those were my first 2 comic books I owned.
Nice. I love that
That's
you,
awesome.
and I really do mean this, instead of doing research for this podcast, you went and researched the books you read. Like that actually, I like that even more. And I'd rather actually just talk about that because like, that sounds awesome. That all said.
I didn't understand a thing about them.
Oh no.
At all, but
okay,
they were awesome.
But I was gonna say, but we digress, and as we always do, that's the thing about comics that I love is like you can't just like pick up a book usually and be like, I know there's story before this, and there's going to be story after this, and if the story is good enough in that issue, you'll go back and find out the context that kind of goes into it. I
Yeah.
love that. That's
it was very like eye opening. I was like, oh my god, this guy Fogg's trying to like choke Spider-Man to death. He almost drowns in like the London River. Like Mary Jane's crying, and then like they get glimpses of the Sinister Six, and there's like this dude who's in all like white with a flat top, and it was like later find out it's like Tombstone. I'm like,
I was gonna say,
all this amazing stuff. But then
probably
after
been like
I
the
think,
Sal Buscema run, I probably read around then too. Yeah, anyway, continue.
yeah, it was like August 1990, I think that issue was.
Okay.
But then, like, obviously I liked him. And then back home, I think my dad took me to a comic shop. We had no comic shops in our small hometown in Wisconsin. So we went all the way to Milwaukee, drove me to a comic book shop. And there I kind of like got to pick. I was kind of deciding which superhero I wanted to be my superhero.
What was gonna be yours? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw a lot of cool covers, but the one that drew me, and I was like, you know what? It's just, I had to be different. Couldn't go Superman, couldn't go Batman.
Yeah.
Drew me was the I actually have it here. The issue 76 of Flash by Mark
The black
Waid.
cover?
The black cover. You're about to experience the most tragic day in the life of Wally West, and that was like such an epic looking cover, and the Flash was so cool.
Dude.
So yeah, I that was the one I asked my dad to buy.
That was that cover too.
Clap.
For a kid too. That's like it's an interesting one, yeah. Because you would think like more of a flashy,
No,
pun intended, like cover. I'm just saying like to catch the eye.
Yeah,
but yeah,
no
that's
running.
interesting.
Yeah,
That was-
exactly.
Yeah,
I think I
no,
liked his costume, and I
It's
know
a
there's
good-
a
that's some good
question
art,
coming
man.
up. Is some good art. I think there's a question coming up, but that that I also saw an issue of at that comic store, but I'll save
Mhm.
it for that question coming up.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, like, I absolutely 100%. I'm on the same board with you on the Flash. Like, that's one of my first Flash comics. I remember like seeing that cover because it's like
Hmm.
stark black and like
Hmm.
Wally is like basically on the verge of tears, and it's like, oh my god, like that's how you grab somebody. Because like I didn't know who the
Mask
Flash
off,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, mask off and
Hmm.
looks just utterly heartbroken.
But
Wonderful.
yeah, it's interesting because you don't normally see the superheroes on covers with that kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
they're usually in the
And no
Ashwood
background
pose
for
or
back
God
in the
pose.
day in the 90s.
Yeah.
Usually
Oh
there's
yeah.
always a full background.
All right.
There's a few
And
of
who was
those
that
black
by?
issues.
Who
Oh,
was
it's
that
Mark Waid, baby.
issue by?
Mark Waid.
I was teeing it up for Derek, but
Oh,
yes, thank you.
too bad. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yes, I know we have a guest and I shouldn't talk over them. That's my problem.
What's
Yep.
funny is like this is 93, so I was a
Mhm.
little bit of a fastidious OCD kid, and this is actually in decent condition.
I was
For
gonna say,
It is actually
so
pretty good
for those of you
condition, yeah.
who can't see because you can't because it's an audio
Yeah.
podcast, Derek is putting up the comic in front of us, and it is in
Yeah.
very, very good
Pretty-
Still
condition.
backed
There's a
and
little
boarded.
notch here.
It's yeah.
The
Yeah, but-
Spider-Man comics aren't in that great a shape, but
That's like
yeah.
a 6. I would say a 6. A CGC.
I give it a
I used to keep-
seven.
You give 6 or 7.
you know how you got action figures that here I'm now digressing, keeping us off track. You know how you got
That's
the
what we
action
do.
figures and they had all the different weapons, like the Turtles
yeah.
ones that came with
Mhm,
GI Joes
mhm,
came with
mhm.
all
Oh,
these
yeah,
different weapons,
yeah.
cool weapons that I would keep those in little Ziploc baggies per action
Wow.
figure. So I never like my younger brother would open them, it instantly lost. Instantly
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would keep all the weapons in different Ziploc baggies. To
That's
keep
so
them
cool.
separate.
I
Goodness.
love
That's
together.
very
Dude, I love
fastidious
that.
for,
No,
a,
that's
for a
cool.
kid.
Derek, I knew there's a reason I loved you, and it's just coming up more and more, man. I'm just simpatico right here. What do you have any favorite comic books, or is there any books you're reading right now that you like really love, or what's kind of your bag?
What's funny is in general, what's great about you guys aren't comic gatekeepers. You welcome one and all to the
Try to.
fandom. And I am
Thank
your
you.
most casual of casual comic book fans. I have always been drawn to the art and the characters.
Mhm.
It's actually funny enough, Brian, you were one of the people that introduced me to like what's a good actual story and put me on to, I think, the different Batman Year One or Black
Oh.
Mirror and Killing Joke and the Court of Owls and stuff, all
Yeah.
the good storylines for comic books. And
The
so
tentpole
it's really what you recommend, Brian, is
Oh,
what I read. And then other than that though, I'm usually a fan of the artwork or the characters.
That's so you're a little bit like Josh in that regard too.
Yeah. Art's what pulls me in, and then the art is the hook. The story and the writing is what keeps you there.
Yeah.
What are your kind of your favorite artists? Like what artists you kind of like Brian and I? We have like a list of creators, or just like no matter what they're doing
Yeah.
at the time, like we'll pick up the book. Like Mark
For
Waid,
sure.
or like Dan Mora for me is like one of them. Right now that's like a big artist for me.
Well, I was grew up in the 90s, even though I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. So I all the major artists of the time in the early 2000s, I'm a fan.
All the
I
Image
love
guys?
It's all the Image guys.
Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, big fan of David Finch, you know, Michael Turner at the time, J. Scott
Okay.
Campbell, all those guys
All
that
those
did all
cats,
the
yeah.
crazy cover works.
Yeah.
I was a teenage dude. I liked anyone with some, dynamic illustrations. I liked. So generally, I either gravitate towards the artwork or the character has to pull me in, because I'm not going to waste my time with art that doesn't necessarily resonate. It's not bad art, but just doesn't resonate with me. And then like a maybe storyline. So I either I need a recommendation that this is a great story, and then the art doesn't really matter. It just enhances the story, or need great artwork. And it always disappointed me when I learned that cover artists aren't necessarily the ones who
Necessarily the
draw it
interior
inside.
artists.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
That's why
wait,
part of
what?
the reason I love Hush. What
do you mean this Alex Ross guy didn't do the interiors of this Doctor Strange comic? What?
Exactly.
Let's move on, Josh. Let's get into the main show. What do you think, buddy?
No.
Okay.
Let's actually talk about the comic Batman Hush, which we already introduced, and this is one of the best-selling Batman stories of like all time. So like without getting like really too specific, because we're gonna get down to the specifics later. Like Derek, what drew you to like this story, Hush specifically?
Well, it's kind of funny that I was in high school, late high school, I think, when this came out, like senior year of high school, and this was during my Wizard magazine
Mhm.
subscription days, and so it was very much hyped in Wizard magazine, I think, and this was
Mhm.
my first pull list comic ever.
Mm.
This was my first pull list comic, and like I already said, no comic book shop in my hometown. Had to drive like 30 minutes. Luckily, I had my license. 30 minutes to
Oh.
a town down the way and go to their comic book shop and for my one issue of Hush per month. And I had to do a lot of work for this, but yeah, it was funny because I was into comics, but it was such a I was like on the tennis team, varsity tennis, and there were some nerdy guys who were into comics. And, one of their friends was in a class of mine and he drew, and he was an awesome drawer. And I would always watch him draw. And I would be like the excited kid coming up to them talking, and they kind of roll their eyes like, oh God, here's Derek to talk about comics again. And I was like kind of the jockey dude being gatekept by the nerdy guys
Oh,
on
yeah,
my tennis
goodness.
team, on the JV. And these are, imagine
Keep
the
it walking, tennis, bro.
yeah. Imagine the opposite of James Franco and Freaks and Geeks. A much less cooler version, and the nerds are older than me, and they're kind of mildly annoyed when I come up to them and want to talk about comics. Like
That's
so,
hilarious.
Oh,
but
goodness.
yeah, that was how I was introduced to it, and I got the single issues
That's really
back
cool.
then.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, there was another thing too, like when you mentioned Wizard again, like reminded me they used to have the previews of like
Mhm.
the comics too. And like that's how like that introduced me to Michael Turner, like specifically when they
Mhm.
did a preview of his Batman Superman run with Jeph Loeb.
That's
It
right.
was
Mhm.
like volume 2 of that.
Yeah.
Um
That was right
with the
after, I think,
Supergirl.
yeah, I was gonna say, was that right or before or after, Jim Lee did his run? Because Jim Lee, after this, does a run on Superman with, Azzarello. I think it might be right before it, though. But, anyway, I
But
Yeah.
digress.
I don't remember at the time how up on things I was. Obviously,
Mhm.
I like I said, I subscribed to Wizard, but I didn't know. I knew they were making a big deal of it, and I knew I
Mhm.
liked the artwork that was being shown or previewed and the covers, and I knew it was a big thing that he was doing the covers and the artwork in the panels, and so I wasn't familiar maybe enough with just the whole scene, but I knew, oh, this is Batman. This is awesome artwork. I'm gonna make sure I get these issues.
That's great.
Nice. Pretty cool.
So this is typically where we would have one of us read the blurb on the back, but Derek, as our guest, would you like to take a stab at that?
Sure. All
And we
right.
we ask we ask our guests to do the best like trailer voice that you can.
Or
All
just
right.
do it in your own voice?
This is my little audition tape.
Yes.
Gotham City is stricken with a crime epidemic, and all of Batman's enemies have surfaced to wreak havoc. But little do they know, they're all pawns of the villainous Hush in an elaborate game of revenge against Bruce Wayne. Pushed past his breaking point, Batman will need to use more than the world's greatest detective skills to uncover the true identity of this mysterious mastermind before it's too late.
Bravo!
Yay, that was
Very good.
great.
I think we just needed to hire you to do all our promos at
Yeah,
the Blurbs on the
yeah.
Back. That was
I'll
great.
take
We'll
some,
just give you a big list of them.
yeah, I'll take payment in Duffenshaw snacks. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
I'll get you. I'll get you a subscription. Yeah, published between the months of October 2002 and September of 2003. This 12-issue series was originally found in issues 608 through 619 of the mainline Batman book.
And the creative team behind this was Jim Lee and Jeph Loeb, who is he's kind of a polarizing figure, like we said at the very beginning. He's the Schrodinger's cat of comics.
So I like to do this to you, Josh, because it's funny. But for those of who may have missed it, do you want to tell your Jeph Loeb story, Josh?
So Derek, we have like a little running joke around here where anytime I meet like somebody who's like marginally famous or some celebrity, I make a complete dork of myself, and I just like for Jeph Loeb, it was specifically I was living at on Hollywood Boulevard at the time, and I went to see Wolverine Origins, the Wolverine Origins movie at Grauman's. It was like an early
Very LA
showing.
of you. Okay.
I know, right? It was because I had like the day off, I think, because it was when I was working at E too, so we had swing shifts, and it was like one of the rare, like, yeah, one of them was like a Friday off. So I went to see, and then I get my snacks. I get like a hot dog. I get my soda. I turn around, and there's Jeph Loeb like right behind me, and I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, sir, are you Jeph Loeb?" And he's like, yep, that's me." And I go, "Oh," and I go to shake his hand. I was like, "I'm a huge fan." I dropped my hot dog like just right at his feet. And he's like, "Oh, looks like you dropped some in there." It's like, "Oh my god!"
Hey,
It was very much like, "Okay, oh, nice to meet you." See you in the movie. It was very much like Big Gulp Sound energy, like from Dumb and Dumber. It was so bad, so stupid. Like,
hey, at least you didn't like pick it up and be like 5-second rule, right?
no, it was very
awesome.
close. I like almost right in front of him. I took it. I went to the counter. It's like, okay, so I obviously just dropped this. Can I get a new one? And he's still waiting behind me to order his food.
Hey,
So it was great.
maybe he remembers you.
Yeah, next time I go to convention,
I'd be
like
very surprised.
You gotta like the big thing on like Instagram is like being nonchalant around. So you gotta really summon that next time you encounter a celebrity. Just pretend like you don't even know who they are.
I try so many times. Like, there's one point where I saw somebody in the grocery store, and they're just like, they're shopping, and I just go by and I go, "Hi, I'm big fan, big fan." I just keep walking, and then my wife goes, "You were so loud that like I didn't even notice." Like, she's like, "You literally went big fan, big fan." Like, I didn't even realize it. So it's just,
Josh, you remind me of when my wife ran into Jeremy Allen White, the guy from what is it?
The bear.
the bear.
The bear. We're walking by and I see him and I'm like, son of a, because like we were like going to the Erewhon, which is like it's the store for people who find Whole Foods to be.
What are
for
you doing
riffraff.
in the Erewhon?
Well, one,
Did you put down a mortgage payment for a smoothie?
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, it's like $8 for a thing of rice. I'm like, are you kidding me? But she wanted to check it out, and we're walking up, and I see Jeremy Allen White walking. She's like, we may run into a celebrity here. I'm like, I'm sure we will. Here comes Jeremy Allen White walking by, and I mean, he was glowing, like he was like radiant, like he gave off an aura. And I'm like, God damn it. Oh, man. And she saw him too. And I was like, I can't compete with that guy, But of course, she
lives around here.
Yeah,
I've seen him in Studio City. And that Erewhon always has celebrities.
Yeah,
I've
celebs,
seen,
yeah.
I've seen Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers there, Ron Artest, former NBA player, Megan Fox, and Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, anyway, I see him walking. I'm just like, I just gave him of course, it puffed up my chest a little bit. I'm like, I'm gonna be taller than this guy right now. And like, my wife's like, big fan of the show, big fan. I'm like, God damn it, you don't say that. Just keep walking.
Not in LA, and not in Erewhon.
Yeah, not in Erewhon, not in LA. No, but
she can get
my
away
wife
with it.
definitely was. She could get away with it. I can't, but anyway. Let's get back on track. You kind of alluded to how you collected these, but let's talk very briefly. Did you read this all in trade? Did you read these in singles? Did you read them digitally? How did you read all these issues? Then and now, Derek.
Like I said, I got singles back then. I still own them all. But recently I acquired a while back the deluxe edition from I think 2019 or 2017, the deluxe edition hardcover.
This is a 15-year edition.
Yes.
And
and
so I have
so
that one too, yeah.
I read it recently actually, it's funny. You guys had me on. We read this about a year ago, and then I reread it, obviously right before this. So I've read it about 4 times, but the last 3 times were this edition.
Okay.
Nice. And Brian, what about you? I know you probably had all the single issues, right?
So yeah, I have all singles, but I didn't pull. Actually, I did pull them out because I was trying to track something down, but I ended up just reading both in that 15-year edition that Derek has, and I also ended up buying the compact edition just because it's like $10 and was able to just like throw it in the car and like drive, go to swim practice, and read it in the car while I was waiting for practice to start. So it was a lot easier to kind of move around with that. What about you,
Nice.
Josh? Singles, trades?
See, I was I'm there out of the both of us. All 3 of us. I was rare where I actually had it in the 2 trades that came out. So I read it when the 2 collected editions, like the green and the purple books, and then I got then I reread it digitally on the big
apps.
Yeah, the absolute on the DC Universe one, and they have I think
Nice.
they call it like Ultra Edition or something like that. So it's like that the hardcover, Derek, that you also read, like has like
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff. There was like
Yeah.
Mhm.
some
Some good
interview
commentary.
with Jeph
Yeah.
Loeb and Jim Lee on it, which
Yeah, it was the
It's an AIM
really
chat
bad.
room.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
it was like
it was
an
so
AOL
bad.
interview or something like that. I was like, what is
Yeah,
going
and
on here?
it was very bad. Like, I mean, Jim Lee just trying to be funny at it. It was just kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, my man, let's just answer a question.
That's what chat rooms were back in the
I know, that's
2000s.
true.
Everyone forgets. Yeah. It's crazy
Uh,
technology.
are you a Batman guy right now, or what do you find, Derek?
Just in general, yeah, Batman, I'm definitely overall I'm a DC guy.
Hmm.
Not that anyone cares, but yes, I'm definitely a Batman guy. What's funny, I've realized as I've entered my midlife is as a kid, I was always a fan of the sidekicks, obviously more
Mhm.
relatable. They were like, that would be the
Mhm.
dream to be like a
That's the whole point
superhero
of 'em.
sidekick.
That's the whole
Exactly. So
point.
I've always liked Robin, Nightwing,
Mhm.
all the Young Justice, all the all the various sidekicks. And this recently I've been like, yeah, I don't know. I guess if I were to go looking for Robin comics, the current Robin comics right now, I guess it wouldn't be as relatable. So I've kind of graduated into more liking Batman finally in later in
That's
life.
that's funny.
But yes,
Very nice.
definitely a Batman fan. Oh, and yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. So I went to that comic book store and got the Flash comic, but I remember catching my eye at the time. A crazy cover is the Nightfall cover where Bane is
Oh,
breaking
Mhm.
Batman's back on the cover. I was like, what, huge wide eyes. I was like, what is this? It looked too fancy to buy at the time. So that's why I went with the one on the weekly shelves for the Flash.
Yeah,
But like that cover, like,
ingrained in your brain.
yes, exactly.
you went for the more depressing one.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
But yeah,
ironic, it's like you have Batman's back broken on a cover, but you have the other
Yeah,
one.
but, hey, you know what? Yeah, you have Batman's back being broken. Yet the Flash one is a little bit more depressing.
It is. To be fair.
it is more
His
depressing,
spirit
but
is
yeah,
broken.
of all the superhero comics, I've read the most Batman.
Mhm.
That's well. It's funny. So I have all my comics like logged in this like computer account that I have, and Batman by far supersedes everyone else, like by like 1,000 appearances. And it's not even intentional. It's just how it is.
Yeah, why did you guys what drive or draws you to Batman so much? Would you think is it just in general just such
Well,
a cool
for
character, and there's like there's also abundance of Batman like
There'd be
out
for
there
me
abundance of
too.
being
Batman.
90s, would like, that was Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah,
Batman
Mhm.
Returns, which
yeah.
I'm wearing the shirt, a vintage shirt of right now.
Oh wow, look at yeah.
The animated series, 90s was definitely inundated with Batman. And then on top of it, yeah, the early 2000s comics like these. Um, yeah, so I think between the movies
Mhm.
and the animated series, that just that put it over the top, combined
Well,
with the comics of the time.
I mean, you got to think about it. Even in the 90s, it's like you had, keep in mind, you had Batman, Detective Comics, Shadow of the Bat, Legends of Batman, Batman Chronicles, Batman Adventures. You also had Nightwing, you had Robin, you had potentially a Batgirl comic
Catwoman.
at the time,
Justice League.
Catwoman, Justice League, you had Azrael. So, like,
Mhm.
it's not like, we've ever been starved for Batman content. There's always been at least, 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 books at a time, featuring someone in the Bat family at the very least, so,
And
yeah.
and I know they're not, like, beloved, but, like, they had big, for the time, epic story arcs with, like, Cataclysm and,
Yeah.
like, the
No one
Nightfall,
Nightfall's
run
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
yeah. To be honest, though, it's like, as dated as those are from the '90s, so they are I still hold them in high regard because they are a lot of fun, and it's insane, like, they're insanely fun. It's like it's I've talked about how, like, the Spider Clone Saga is something, like, I hold dear to me, even though I know it's really bad. It has the same energy of that, but actually done
Mhm.
well, if that makes any
Th-
Yeah.
sense.
that's what's funny because with Batman stories like in the '90s, I think out of like most characters, his stories really have like really stayed good. You know, what I mean, like not a lot of the '90s stories, like you said, it's like Clone War, excuse me, Clone Saga, and have like stood the test of time. How
Mm.
most Batman '90s stories have kind of been like like what's the word? Not sentimental, but like just like again stood the test of time. Like they're still
Mm.
good today, like still rereadable now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you don't
Ver
have to. It's not like a niche reread or nostalgic. They're
Yeah.
just still good storylines. There's not a lot of those with characters in the
Yeah,
90s.
Yeah, the 90s is a mixed bag. It really is. I do
Yeah.
hold it in high regard, but I admit that there's a lot of
correction,
trash.
not Cataclysm, No Man's Land, early
No, yeah, but
2000s.
the Cataclysm
picking
did
up what
lead
you're
into.
putting down.
Well, no, but
Yeah.
Cataclysm leads into No Man's Land.
Yes,
so
yes,
which
yes,
you know,
yes, yes.
so you're fine. You were technically correct, Eric. That's why you were
Yeah,
not corrected.
no, we're smelling what you're stepping in.
actually.
Yeah, you know, we're good. You're good.
Well, let's get into the creative team. I'm going to tackle Jeph Loeb real quick. We've talked about him before. He's the writer of the series. We talked about him in our Red Hulk episode. So insert shameless plug here. If you do not listen to that episode, go listen to it now. You can find out more about Jeph Loeb there, or just stick around for a second. 'Cause I'm going to get into it. As we kind of alluded to in the past, and hell, just in every episode, Loeb is kind of a polarizing figure. He either writes some of the favorite stuff that we love or some of our not so favorite stuff. He got to start writing, doing movies like Commando and Teen Wolf, and eventually he got handed a script to do Flash as a feature film. Even though that movie fell through, he ended up still kind of like making connections to DC Comics, led him to doing a book called Challengers of the Unknown, along with a new kind of artist coming out of nowhere called Tim Sale. If you know that name, it's because those two then collaborated pretty much all through their career after that, doing books like Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, The Long Halloween for all seasons. You know, um, after that, he kind of bounced around the X titles, doing things like Cable and X Force, stuff to that effect, before he took on the aforementioned Batman The Long Halloween, which really kind of cemented him as a big name comic writer. He's known for going very big with his work, and that can either be to his favor or to his detriment. On the one hand, you get his stuff like Superman, Batman, which I know you, Josh, are a big fan of that book. On
Mhm.
the other hand, you get books like Ultimates 3. I'm gonna throw this
I'm
question to
not a
both
fan
of
of
you.
that book.
I don't think anybody's a fan of that book, and it has Joe Madureira doing art. Like, it's the height of the Ultimates era, and like it was not good. And I hate to
Right.
say that, but it's not. What are your thoughts? I'm gonna first throw this to Derek, and then I'll throw it to you, Josh. What are your thoughts of him as a writer, Derek? Have you read any of his other stuff, or is this kind of your first exposure to him?
Long Halloween and Dark Victory, and I like both the both
Both
those,
great.
especially Long Halloween. Yeah,
Mhm.
great. So that's that. Again, big casual here.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine. Josh, how about you, buddy?
Yeah, for me, I was a big fan of the Superman Batman
Mhm.
series that he did, and then also yeah, all the colors of the rainbow that he did with Marvel. Like I really like,
Yeah.
and then what is it?
Spider-Man Blue,
Spider-Man Blue, Captain America White,
White,
um,
Whole Gray.
and yeah, Hulk Gray. I mean, and then Long Halloween, of course, is just one of those. Like it's in Long Halloween is usually in almost everybody's top 10 of Batman
Batman
stories.
stories, yeah.
It's like kind of universally loved
Loved.
by comic fans and critics and
Mhm.
everything. And then yeah, I mean my relationship with Jeph Loeb is both good and
Personal.
bad, like both personal, but also like he's written some of my favorite books, and he's also ruined some of my favorite books, or not ruined, but
He's
just
dropped
not
the
a big
hot
fan.
dog, so to say, on some.
Exactly. Yes.
Dude,
Thank you.
I hate to say it, but with his Ultimatum, I'm not trying to be an asshole about this, but like literally with Ultimatum, he ruined the Ultimate Universe. Like
Yeah.
he
Well,
he
yeah.
killed like 47 characters in 8 issues and like just destroyed what was one of Marvel's most successful cash cows, you know? And
Qu-
it wasn't fun. It wasn't good, you know? I'm sorry, Derek.
Well, question on that, like from again a casual standpoint, isn't some of that on like the editor or the chief creative officer at the time that to allow him to do that?
You know, he was such a name at the time. I think they kind of
Yeah.
allowed him carte blanche, and it was just like, "Oh, it's Jeph Loeb writing this. We got to let him do it," because he was so hot as a writer at the time. He'd been doing,
And
he'd done all these books and
Mhm.
coming off Hush, and it was like Superman, Batman, and all the other things. Like he kind of could do no wrong at the time, and so they're, hey, we're gonna shake things up and we're gonna reset the Ultimate Universe. And it's like, you know, I think there's a personal reason for why this happened, but I'm not going to get into it. But like, when you have Blob eating the wasp and saying,
yeah.
"It tastes like chicken," it was like it was not. I think he was working through some stuff, and I just think
That's
it didn't.
something I might actually feel like, oh my god.
It's
I
pretty over
mean,
the top.
well, it's not only so then it's that on top of Ultimates 3, which was a big like big just
Gets
drop
fired.
from how Ultimates was, and then the Hulk as well. And then when you look, because he picked up the Hulk right after Planet Hulk and World War Hulk and all that stuff. So like for me, like those are some of my top 10 like Hulk stories of all time. And
Yeah.
then to go right after that, which I mean, it was Loeb and McGinnis, who you think it's like a home run from their
Slam dunk.
Superman Batman, but it was like when he's talking like A Bomb and all that stuff, which we talked about in our Red Hulk thing
Yeah. Just watch. Don't
episode.
listen to the
But
Red Hulk episode.
yeah, but it's just that drop in quality from that, and then when you read the articles that kind of were like behind the scenes of Marvel at the time, where he because he was such a big name, he took the book away from somebody like Greg Pak who was writing it, and like Bendis also took like Guardians of the Galaxy
From Abnett and
from
Lanning.
like DNA, yeah, Abnett and Lanning at the time because they knew the movies were coming out. So it was their way of like a cash grab of like, here, let me just write this put together story for like these characters because we know the movies are going to come out and we know the issues are going to sell. So
Yeah.
instead of going for like the character for the story, just doing they went for the easy money. It seemed like and like not bullied their way, but they like pushed their way in when you had guys
Well,
who were killing it at the time with like Greg Pak and DNA.
well, at that point too, I think Bendis and Loeb were part of like the sort of the internal creative of like the future of Marvel like studios and stuff like that. So they had a little bit
Yeah,
more weight. But as I said, I don't want to
because he
spend too
was
much time on it.
behind. Well, he was behind Agents of Shield too, the
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
show. Like he was a big factor in that.
Mm.
Let's talk a little bit about the artist though, because I mean, honestly, no offense to Loeb, but this is the reason the book sells, and it's Mr. Jim Lee. Yeah, I mean, Josh, you want to jump on that
Yeah,
real quick?
yeah, because we talked about him a lot too when we talked about Wildstorm and
Hmm.
our authority episode. So we're
Hmm.
we're coming back to this creative team. Funny like on separate episodes because they worked on separate projects and now they come together on this project. But yeah, I mean, Jim, like we said before, Jim Lee is kind of like the epitome of like a superstar kind of artist. Like he's
Yep.
very well known for his
It's like the Kobe
hyperkinetic.
Bryant. He's like a Kobe Bryant of like comics, if that
Yeah,
makes any sense.
and like he's known for his like hyperkinetic poses and like really dramatic paneling. The way he draws characters, it's like y- the- I don't know if this is mean, but it's like a better Rob Liefeld. So his characters like typically like chiseled and muscular, but they're like proportionate and they're correct. And I mean, you
Skin tight
just like
spandex.
in tight, yeah. So looking good in tight spandex. I mean, like his well, I think Hush brought a lot of fans, to his art, but like I think for most comic fans, the X-Men #1 is what introduced a lot of people to Jim Lee, and that's
Yeah.
like that is really just him in full effect. Like he and X-Men at the time both rose in celebrity, best way of saying, but just like
Status.
both the status. Yes, that's a better way of saying. Yeah, just both in sales and just in quality of how comics could be at the time.
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, you hit it right there on the nail. I mean, like ultimately, what ended up happening was like he was so successful with X Men. Marvel promoted him so much that he was able to split off with the other six members that founded Image, McFarlane and Valentino and all those cats, to form Image Comics. Eventually, and he made money hand over fist, but then stopped kind of like drawing his own book, and he became known as like the late artist, as like, along with all those other guys. He eventually kind of cornered off his own thing. When we talked about this a little bit, like you said in the Authority episode, Wildstorm became its own entity within Image, which he eventually sold to DC Comics. It's never been reported the official amount, but most people speculated to be about 100 million he sold that to. And that he basically became an employee of DC Comics at that point. He's currently the president, chief creative officer, and publisher of DC Comics. So he's done well for himself, I would say.
yeah, he's doing
Um,
pretty good.
he's doing okay.
I would think.
What is I'm gonna throw this to you, Josh, and then to you, Derek. What are your thoughts of him as an artist? Where does he end in your like pantheon of artists? Does
Oh,
his name on a book sell you, or like what's your take on him?
No, 100% it does. I think he's on the Mount Rushmore, I think, of artists, at the very least of DC artists. Like he is a superstar artist where you you know it's going to be good. You know you're going to look at something pretty at the very least of whatever book he's drawing on. And now currently, of course, like he's in a position where he definitely picks and chooses what he wants to do, and you know at the very least like it's going to be a big story, or you know he's going to put some time into it.
Hmm.
So I
Right.
think he's one of the, top artists of all time.
Okay. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, what's crazy is like he was a star back in the 2000s,
Yeah.
when he did
In the
this, he was
90s.
already a
Uh-huh.
star. Yeah, yeah. So it's so crazy that like, it's very similar with like the current Hush. It's like his return to doing like comics and that this I think correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this was his first monthly DC book where
Hmm.
he did all the artwork for. This
Yeah,
run
he'd been.
was his
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
that's
time for
correct.
yeah.
DC.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he had after he sold Wildstorm, he had done a book called Divine Right, but then after that was over and Wildstorm was sold, he had done like a backup here and there. I think he did like a black and white 8-pager for Gotham Knights, and I think he'd also been doing covers for Green Lantern. But yeah, he was very much like, I want to do a monthly book to prove to everybody I can still do a monthly book. That was like his pitch basically. But we're gonna get into that in
Yeah.
just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Um,
think I think what he does amazing is this was like right at the time, and he's part of the reason, you know, comics got an update. So it's like, I don't know, chicken or the egg. He caused it or
uh-huh.
it was happening and he did it for them. But he's the best at taking like classic characters and updating them
Mhm.
while maintaining the essence of the
Mhm.
classic look, right? It's
Yeah.
still recognizable. Sometimes you update characters like, is that Superman or is
Mhm.
who's that supposed to be? That looks like the
Uh-huh.
colors of Wolverine, and you update like do a complete revamp on a character to new costume. He's I think the best at taking characters and
Mhm.
or at least at the time was the best at like updating them from the 90s and 80s to the 2000s and making them look ultra cool while still having all the characteristics of their classic character. And I think too he's the best blend of comics and realism, like where
Mhm.
it definitely looks like a comic illustration but it's about as realistic, and that's where the kind of the muscles and the jawlines and
Mhm.
appealing looking figures goes because it's like taking uh, pushing it to the max of what a real human could look like, the
Mhm.
David-esque
Yeah.
sculpture, but yeah, putting it in comic form. And he does non monsters, like you'll see it in this comic, Killer Croc. He does a lot of
Yeah.
that stuff really well, and he used to stream on Twitch more, and
Mhm.
he does cool characters. He hasn't streamed on Twitch, he's a super busy man, 9 kids,
Yeah.
president at DC, but
Yeah. Going to
he does like
Dodger
cool
games.
he does like Pokemon sometimes. He does
Mhm.
crazy. He's worked all across obviously all the different comic companies, so I think he's pretty well yeah, 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 big fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, for me, real quick, is just his version of the X-Men, especially that he's, as you said, Josh, the X-Men #1. That is always gonna be my when I think of the X-Men, that's who I think of. Like instantly, oh,
Mhm.
that's the Cyclops with the blue and the yellow bandolier, and oh, Rogue with her little leather jacket, and Storm with the white cloak and the wings and all that. So I 100% agree with you, both of you. I think Jim Lee, regardless of what it is at this point, especially since he's almost too busy to do anything. If he decides he's going to do a book, if he can get it out, because Hush 2 has been delayed for about a year now, um, he definitely warrants, if not a pickup, at least a look and see, hey, what's going on over here. Let's get into
Yeah,
Hush though.
wait,
Oh, go ahead.
well,
Sorry,
I
Josh.
mean, just a quick question on that. So the X-Men #1, is that the first time we saw those costumes, right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, so yeah, so that's why I mean everybody was freaking out that we got that Cyclops look in the
Yep.
Doomsday trailer too. So
Yep.
I mean, it's still,
Yeah,
you know,
because before that,
seminal.
he was yeah, the Cyclops was in X Factor, and they were still using the stupid he was wearing that blue and white uniform. They were all wearing the X
Mhm.
Factor uniforms up to that point, and then, yeah, that so X-Men #1 is when the teams all came together, and He revamped the look. I mean, there was, they were still like Wolverine, still kind of in a version of a Wolverine costume. Gambit still wearing the trench coat, but it was
Yeah.
all cleaned up and unified for that launch, which is why we see them in the cartoon. And a lot of people associate X-Men with that cartoon. That's because
Yeah.
it was aped from.
And everybody was freaking out seeing, James Marsden in the
Yeah,
that Cyclops fit.
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah,
great.
I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Let's get into Hush though. Let's get into the sort of IRL kind of context, if you don't mind.
I'll jump
Ex-
in this. As
please.
so, like we mentioned this before, but the book began publishing in about October of 2002. But their origins really began a little over a year earlier. In full context, we're going to go back to 1996 when DC pushed out the first issue of Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale's Batman: The Long Halloween. And Brian, explain what Long Halloween is.
Well, so the easiest way to do is like for those who miss it, do yourself a favor, just go to your local comic shop and go pick up the DC compact version of it. It's
Uh-huh.
$9.99. And it's literally one of Batman's most well-regarded stories, excuse me. It's a murder mystery that's set in the first like year or two of Batman when he's tackling the mob. This is before like the real rise in like sort of the super villains. It's basically set right around that year one period, like the Frank Miller's year one, and it's kind of the inspiration for both the Penguin TV show and the Arbats movie. It's a noir infused whodunit that follows Batman as he teams up with Commissioner Gordon and a pre Two-Face Harvey Dent as they attempt to bring down the mob while a mysterious killer is murdering people on the holiday of each month. It also explores, like I said, the emergent supervillains that have affected organized crime throughout Gotham. That's kind of to say the long and short of it, right? The long Halloween and short of it. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
I had to
yeah.
do it. Um, the
It's a
reason we
vibe.
bring this, it's a
Yeah, it's a
vibe.
fun.
It's a big it's a vibe comic. It's very
It
vibey.
really, honestly, it's
I
really
like
funny you
it.
should say because it is a vibe comic, and it's dripping with that vibe, and that's why I think it's because I was reading some things like the mystery is not all that great if you actually kind of break it down. It's like bare core elements, but like the vibe is so good and the art is so stellar. Tim Sale kills it in that book, and that's
Mhm.
when it is really really pretty.
It
Um,
is a great follow-up to Batman Year One. Like, if you're going to read, like, just Batman's and, or just going through, like, Batman stories, like, I think it's a great thing to start with Batman Year One and then immediately do, Long Halloween right
Yeah, you
after.
should read that right into that.
Yeah.
The reason we bring it up is because this is really what put Jeph Loeb on the map. Not just as a Batman scribe, but as like a major comic writer. Is we said like at this point, like everyone's like, oh my god, this guy Jeph Loeb is awesome. It spawned a sequel, Dark Victory, as you mentioned, Derek. It also spawned Superman for All Seasons, which really brought Superman to its like his core element and reminded everybody like why Superman is cool. He also did Daredevil. They did Daredevil Yellow together. And so all this brings us to about 2001, where Loeb is writing the newly vamped Superman line, along with Fantastic Four, along with the minis like Daredevil Yellow and Spidey Blue. And at this point in 2001, Jim Lee is looking to get back on a monthly book, as you kind of mentioned, Derek. He was like, real comic books artists do monthlies. He'd been swamped with all the business and comic books and just not doing any actual art. Like, as I said earlier, his last monthly book had been Divine Right, and it took him 2 years to get 12 issues done. So he kinda wants to prove to everybody, "Hey, I can still do this. I'm a real comic artist." And he doesn't wanna do a miniseries. He wants to be on, like, a Batman book or a Detective Comics book. Now, there are some variations on the story, but I'm gonna go with the one I like the most. It ends with basically one of the DC editors, Mark Chiarello, gets word that Jim Lee is creatively in a rut and wants to do a monthly again. So one day, he's in California and he runs into Jeff over at Warner Brothers because Jeff was working on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer cartoon that never came out. And he's like, basically, he says, "Hey, Jim Lee loves your writing. Like, he wants to do something with you." He's like, Jeff's like, "Oh, that's cool, interesting." And then later on, he runs into Jim Lee and he's like, Jim, Jeff loves your stuff and he wants to do something with you. And Jim's like, "Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, sure. Why?" Like literally, he like lies to both of them. Like, "Oh yeah, that guy. Sure, I'll do something with him."
That's so
So
Hollywood too. Like, it's such
it
a Hollywood
is.
thing.
It's absolutely that. And even Jim Lin, and I've read like they're both, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was like, "Oh, cool." And so basically they're like, "Hey, we want to do a Batman book and we have some ideas." And DC is like, "Yeah, that's cool. You want to do like the actual Batman book?" And they're like, "Yeah, not a miniseries. We want to do a Batman book." And they're like, "Cool. Like, we know how late you are, Jim, and we know Jeph is like writing 10 books right now. Like, maybe, sure, we'll think about it." And at this point, like Greg Rucka's writing Greg Rucka was writing Detective Comics and Ed Brubaker's writing Batman. So like, well, we can't really slot you in. We got two big writers writing those books right now. So basically, Jim Lee's like adamant though it has to be one of the regular books. And they're like, okay, fine. Tell you what, DC's like, this is stupid not to do this. Like having Jim Lee do a book is a slam dunk on Batman. And so they're like, basically, "Hey, Jim, tell you what, we'll make a deal with you." And this is like in October of 2001. We're gonna make $1,000 bet, and this is the thing: the $1,000 bet was made. If Lee could get them 100 pages, basically 4 issues done by Valentine's Day, he had like 4 months to do it. They're like, we'll get you on a mainline book. And as it luck would happen, at the end of that year in 2001, Greg Ruck was like, "Dude, I'm done. I'm out. I'm gonna go work on some other stuff right now." And so like, okay, this is synergizing right here. And so Valentine's Day rolls up. Jim Lee comes into the office. Here's 100 pages. Boom. Where's my $1,000? Let's do it. And I'm like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put Greg's out. Ed's gonna move over to Detective Comics. That kind of more his vibe anyway, because it's more of an ensemble thing. And you guys are gonna do Batman. They make the announcement in April, and like fans are like, this is nuts. Like, this is crazy. Jim Lee's gonna do a Batman. This is nuts. So that's kind of where we land basically in 2002.
Which is funny too, because like it's the two artists, Tim and Jim, could not be further apart. One's hyper
Right.
stylized, one hyper realism,
Yes.
both working with Jeph.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then I think that's so thematically. I think we're well, not thematically. I think we're going to talk a little bit about the juxtaposition between those two books because thematically the books are very, very similar. But when you actually look at them, they're two completely different books at the same time. Now, Josh, you had mentioned, we were offline. We were talking about 2002 was like kind of like a heyday for comics. I'd love you to kind of talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so I mean, we when I was looking at just what else came out in 2002, I was like, wow, there are like this is kind of a murderer's row of stories that were starting and coming out in 2002. So you have the Hush, starting. Then you had Gotham Central started in
Mhm.
2002, and we did a like one of our first big breakdowns
Yep.
about Gotham Central. So listen to that episode; that was really fun. Fables, which is I think one of my favorite like third party books that doesn't get enough love. Why the Last Man came out in 2002. The Ultimates, speaking of Ultimate Universe. Grant Morrison's new X-Men is like in full swing. Ultimate Spider-Man
Mhm.
is going, and X-Men. I think even that year they had Ultimate War, which is
War.
Ultimate
It's Ultimate
X-Men
War.
against.
Yep.
Yeah, Ultimate War is the Ultimates against Ultimate X-Men. Bendis is doing Powers and Daredevil. Mark Waid is on Fantastic Four, and then Azzarello is on Hellblazer and 100 Bullets. And like, there's also like a resurgence too of like 80s nostalgia comics. And so we're getting great comics of Transformers, GI Joe, Thundercats, and you know you get and then like Origin, the Wolverine Origin book, which I really like. And just speaking of Origin too, like that was mainly like Andy or Adam, one of the Kubert
Adam did
brothers, whatever. Adam.
Adam did Origin, and then Andy did Origin 2, I believe. I
Okay,
believe.
so Adam, like he sometimes he does the stylized where it's like that. It's almost like a chalk painting
Mhm,
or not chalk, but chalk art a little bit,
mhm.
like the color and just how they drew the art, and you get some of that in Hush as well, like in the flashbacks. You kind of get that same type of
Like watercolor
style.
almost.
Yeah,
Eh,
watercolor. Yeah,
Jim Lee did those in watercolor, and
Yeah,
then
he did,
they
yeah,
he did.
yeah.
edited in Photoshop, I think he said.
Oh, very nice. So you have that kind of like that kind of
And you
style in
said you
both
were
those
a
books.
casual.
Yeah,
I
right.
read
I
the
know.
deluxe
Like,
edition has
come
all
on.
these tidbits.
Uh, but what I mean too is just like those both those books coming out this same year like had that type of style
Yeah.
within them, which is pretty interesting. And like there's a and even the first appearance of Invincible, which I
Ye
mean wouldn't know
technically
how good it was until like much later.
Yeah, technically it's like he's in the cover of Noble Causes #3, the cover B, like it was an alt
Mhm.
cover, but he's in the background on a shot. Basically, it's the infamous Days of Futures Past like homage cover, with the all the murdered, slain by the Sentinels kind of cover from Days of Futures
Yeah.
Past and the X-Men. And his face is there, and then he makes a cameo in the issue later on. It was before he was actually debuted in his first appearance in the one.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
We
2002 is
yeah.
interesting.
2002 is just a crazy for
It
books
is
at the
crazy.
time.
Well, what's
And
really interesting is go ahead, Derek,
but
please.
I was gonna say, and like I said, Brian put me on to both Fables and Why the Last Man.
Yeah,
Oh, very
Around that
nice.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're fun books. I was gonna say,
Fables
it's
is
interesting.
always like the book I tell people, like if somebody's like trying to get into comic books and I know they like to read,
Mhm.
actual word books, that kind of weird thing without the pictures. I don't know who does that, but if they like to do that I always throw them to Fables because that's like a good
Yeah,
gateway drug with
Yes.
that
yeah.
because it's like
Hard
well-known
agree.
stories.
So it is interesting. We should note that this is like we're coming finally as a comic book. We're coming out of the financial crash of the 90s. As we talked about earlier, the whole image, the chromium cover, all that stuff that crashed the marketplace in the 90s. This is the lowest point in terms of comic sales at this point. Like in 2001, we like sales are at an all-time low, but we're seeing in 2002 those numbers are just ever slightly starting to finally tick back up. And it's because we're starting to get quality books. Now, was Batman Hush entirely responsible for this? No, but it certainly did help. I do also want to note that like this is also Transformers comics from Dreamwave, which was a third party was like the number one book at the time at that that's crazy, like a third party Transformers book. That's how like crazy the numbers were in 2002. So anyway, let's now that we have all the context, let's get into the breakdown and talk a little bit about the story. Josh, please.
Yeah, and so we're because there's sort of like 12 issues, we're going to be going through like in like parts. So like the first part, we're gonna just the basic plot of the story.
Spoiler
And
warning, by the way.
this is going to be spoiler warning for a 25-year-old comic, and they've made it into animated movie. We'll discuss that one later. But as always, if you do want to read it, I mean, just pause, take a read, or you can read along with us and come back to this. And
I've done that
yeah,
before with your guys'
oh,
podcast. I've
Oh,
oh,
paused,
yes,
nice.
yeah,
read
he
it,
did, he
come
did.
back.
I
Yeah.
remember he's like, "Dude, I'm reading that book. I can't read it right." I'm like, "All right, let's
I can't listen
read it
to
and then
it
come
to
back."
the rest of it.
That's
Yep.
awesome. Very cool.
Yes.
See, so yeah, so case in point, Derek has done it and it's worked, so it's good.
It works.
Um, yeah, so we're first part we're gonna talk about is issues 1 through 3. It's 608 through 610. At the beginning, it starts off with Killer Croc has attempted to like ransom a rich kid for about 10 million bucks, which is huge. And Batman stops that, and then in as he's stopping Croc, Catwoman steals the briefcase of the money, and Batman ends up chasing her, and he ends up fracturing his skull while he's chasing her because somebody has cut his line, and
Mhm.
you find out too that Catwoman is being mind controlled by Poison Ivy. Now, luckily he gets kind of saved,
Mhm.
and he relays to Alfred using like Morse code to get his old friend Tommy, who he's a surgeon, and actually we've never met before. He's a new character into the story. He's like a world class surgeon, and he gets him to fix him. And when he gets better, he's healed up. He goes back to fight Croc to see like what was going on, and while suspecting that someone was really pulling his strings because Croc is not really well known for kidnapping kids or being that intricate. So uh you find out though, like there's a big shock and surprise that there is somebody behind the scenes. It's some guy with face bandages and a trench coat that's actually the same trench coat that Killer Croc is wearing. And at the end, part 3 ends with Cat and Bat making out on the roof, and this is like the first. I don't know if it's the first, but it's kind of like one of the first times that they're starting that relationship that kind of
Yeah,
It's that
it's
seed that's done in the Tom King run of
yeah,
Batman.
I think it's always been implied that they had, like, there was, like, she gives off pheromones that he was attracted to or something like that. I don't know if that's true or not, but
What?
yeah, it was, like, in the '90s. I wanna say, like, '90s or '80s. I could be wrong about that, but I
Okay,
remember
we can forget
vague.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
That's
there's always
wild.
been, like, a weird, like, pseudo romance between them, but this is, I think, the first time that canonically they, like, are, like, together.
Yeah.
Um,
Really? Because we're
They've
coming
always
up on
had,
it
like,
in
a
the
will they,
issues
won't
because there's
they.
a big thing happens between them
oh, yeah.
here in a
Oh,
couple
it's a big
issues.
deal.
So
Yeah.
so this is like kind of the first time they've kind of had a more
Yes.
than flirtatious relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I believe so. I
Wow.
believe so. Yeah, because I think before that it was like Silver St. Cloud, obviously Talia because he has a kid with her. But yeah,
Which we don't know yet.
that's a whole.
He's
Well, we
he's
do know, but we
beloved.
just whatever. Here's the question though. So
Vicky Vale.
ostensibly, this book is meant to draw in lapsed fans or new fans of Batman. Would you say this was a good jumping on point for new or lapsed readers? I mean, what did you think, Derek? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not a
I would,
huge, well, not a huge, but you consider yourself a casual. But what did you think when you kind of read it for the first time?
well, I was the target demo and I was a successful test subject. I was a 17-year-old dude who got into comics first pull list issue. I'm like the target demo. And
Okay,
I came on board and
question answered.
yeah, I think it was pretty like we'll talk more about the overall storyline and some of
Yeah,
the issues and stuff, but like in general to your question, yeah,
yeah,
I think it was pretty good. Come on, and like shout out like to talk about Jim again, like Killer Croc introduction and his kind of redesign there.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it's pretty I liked this more. He's, they say he's like been altered by mutating even further. And
Yeah, by
this
some
like
chemical or
extreme
something.
pushed version of him
Yeah.
looked like really sick. And also shout out to Scott Williams, the colorist
Oh,
on this,
yeah,
and works with Jim Lee a ton.
yeah.
Um, Between him and
That's
Jim, I think they put together like an amazing redesign of Killer Croc.
yeah. We don't typically talk about the inkers and the colors, but they do deserve some credit for this book.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jim, they don't mention a inker. I think Jim inked this stuff.
No, Scott Williams did the inking, and I
Oh, he
believe
did the
Alex
inking too.
Sinclair did. Yeah,
Oh,
Alex
okay.
Sinclair did the coloring on this, and of course
Oh, I
Richard
thought.
Starkings
Okay.
did.
Oh, I
Yeah, I'm
got it
pretty
all
sure.
screwed up.
That's
All
all
right.
right, dude. But I got what you were putting down.
Oh, okay.
What about you? What about you, Josh? Did
Well,
you find this a good jumping on point?
oh, I think so because I think in that opening scene you get basically how awesome Batman is from his POV of just taking out each of the mercenaries, but not only like taking them out, knowing each one by name and then
Mhm,
knowing all their weaknesses already and like knowing all their weak points and hitting like the one guy, with the broken rib,
mhm,
and things like, this guy has a trick knee or so. It just gives you an idea of Batman's preparedness already
mhm,
going in. And then, like Derek said, I love the redesign of Croc because it gave me like a little bit of it was kind of like a swamp thing kind of vibe
mhm,
too. Just with
mhm.
just how the veiny and stuff, it just kind of reminds me of like vines and stuff like that. So it's just it's it was very different, but in a good
Mhm.
way. It wasn't
Yeah.
just because art is Killer Croc is like is an interesting character for artists because they
Mhm,
either go full on crocodile,
mhm,
like full
Mhm.
on monster croc, or they go scaly
Man Croc.
man croc, like who who it's a guy with a skin condition. So it's there's not a lot of in between. So I
yeah,
do like when they go the full
uh-huh,
crocodile look because it is more abrupt, it's more scary, it's more
mhm,
like
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
more
Batman
visceral.
villain. Visceral,
Yeah,
yeah. It's like a
and like
Batman villain.
similarly, he kind of like I don't slight redesign to Poison Ivy to there at the end
mhm,
of issue one too,
Mhm.
like with the I don't know, but I thought that was cool. But and I was saying like he's known for drawing sculpturesque illustrations, but at the
mhm.
same time he can do monsters really well. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
slight critique from me, even though I'm a super fan, is like even the kid, like that's too good looking of a kid.
I know.
Like
He is, he is.
he looks like Yeah.
Well, he's
They're
got to
like
be kidnappable, I guess.
yeah, he looks like he's straight out of a commercial, a casting,
I
call
I,
commercial.
I did like the moment where the kid's like, yeah, and Ben was just like, quiet,
Yeah, oh yeah, it
like
was like
shut up.
jumping for joy. It's funny, I had been reading Batman comics at this point, like under Brubaker and Rucka, and I will say, like for me, it was a crazy shift because like it went from like watching like a Brian De Palma or like a Scorsese film into suddenly like into like a Michael Bay film. You know what I mean? Like I was like, wait, what? Like it was a complete like, wait, what just happened? It was a little bit of a shock to the system. I mean, obviously, I enjoyed it, but it was definitely like two different books, you know. But that all said, I'm going to get into it's probably they made the right decision because Batman 607, which was the last issue with Brubaker before they went into 608, which was, you know, Loeb and Lee, didn't even, it was barely in the top 50 of books for that month. It literally sold 46,000 copies. Okay. Barely 46,000 copies and this book, 608, goes on and immediately sells 120,000 issues and is the number one book of the month. And like, while sales would drop just a little bit for the second and the third issue, by the fourth issue, they tick right back up and are selling more than the first issue. So, like, yes, I'm sad that there's like this shift, but like they made the right call because man, it brought fans back. I mean, like, seriously, think about it. Going from number 43 to number one on the charts. It's insane, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and another shout out
I
to
Go ahead,
just
please.
oh, so I was just gonna say because it doesn't I'm looking I have the the hardcover in front of me and
Mm,
just I'm looking for examples of it and it's really prominent in this like the first um 607 is just
yeah,
Jim Lee more than drawing cool characters. He's like a master artist and he can draw people from every angle. See,
yeah,
he can do buildings, he can do weapons, he can do Batman and all these characters from all different points of view. And I think,
yeah,
that's sometimes overlooked because he draws cool characters, right? But like not
yeah.
all artists are as adept at drawing making them look cool from every single different angle and he pushes that. There's very few where it's just straight on angles.
It's
He's
funny you
really
should
great at doing action.
It's funny you should
Yeah.
say that because one of the big things, like when people would show portfolios of their arts, like, yeah, that's a great splash page, but can you show me a person sitting in a chair and making it look cool? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's one of the things a lot of those guys when they're looking, it was like, yeah, that's great, but show me a character literally sitting at a table looking cool. Like show me a better angle of that. And like Jim Lee and like Neil Adams, those cats like knew how to do that. You know, especially Neil Adams, really, really great at that. It is funny you should mention Jim Lee because one of the things that he really is good at is like peppering things into the background because he is so detailed with everything that and we'll get into this in a moment. Some of the other Easter eggs you'll find in the background, but in the background of this stuff, you see Catwoman lurking in the background in a couple shots before she makes her appearance.
Yeah.
You see like little Easter eggs, like if you look at like one of the towers in the background, it's the Avengers A on the building. So it's like, oh, that's the Avengers Tower. Cute little Easter egg there. Or like there's another one, it's like it was supposed to be a tip of the hat to Jerry Robinson, but it's like you see Robin is written on the back of a building. It's supposed to be like Robinson Hotel, but the way Hush was standing on it, it just says Robin. So it made everyone think, oh my God, Jason Todd's back. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like as the villain. But he's really good at like putting so much detail into it that you don't even realize like this thing is full. And when we get to the opera house episode, or issue rather, there's even more stuff to talk about there.
Yeah, he likes dropping Easter eggs. I was reading because this deluxe edition, has really plugged for the deluxe edition. He does
Mm,
a little breakdown of each issue and certain
mhm,
panels. And he'll talk
mhm,
about his experience either illustrating or Easter eggs in that lock. He's picking a lock
mhm.
in like the opening
Yes.
pages, and
Yeah.
there's a V on the little
The
screws, and that's a nod to
screws.
his wife's last name,
Yep.
Voorhees. And so he
Uh-huh.
says he likes to just add a little bit more character, like a real
Yep.
life lock might have a monogram of the company. But he
Yeah.
also doesn't he explained he doesn't like doing just a twist on a real thing like Master
Mm.
Lock because he feels that takes the reader out of it and like, oh, haha, it's DC's version of Master Lock. So he doesn't typically like that all the time. So
Yeah.
he'll just make up something else like that.
Yeah, I read that too, and I think and again, that's, it he's already a master artist, like we said before, like, in terms of, like, but it's, like, all those things you add together, and that's why, again, it's a Jim Lee book, and this ultimately, will say this, and I'm kinda getting ahead of it, but Jeph Loeb knows he's writing for Jim Lee, you know?
Mm.
and it shows. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's move on to parts 4 through 5. Unless you have something else to add, Josh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, let's also talk about just the back and forth between Batman and Catwoman on
Sure.
this, and then also like the use of Poison Ivy, which was like because right away in these first three issues, you're getting more of the rogues. Like you're seeing that he's using almost the big hitters of the rogues
Yeah.
gallery, really, and then also the introduction of Tommy,
Yeah.
Tommy Elliott, who is out. I really liked the introduction of a character like that because
Mhm.
it wasn't it felt organic in a way. It was a surprise, but it also felt organic that um he's a childhood friend he didn't keep in touch with, and then because he had the mission. Excuse me, but
Yeah. See, that's funny. I was gonna say I actually took issue with that. Like, and there's the title. I because it was, I think it was like, wait, where's this? We've never heard of this character in a 608 issues of Batman plus the 1,000
Mhm.
issues of Detective Comics.
I thought that
Like
too.
suddenly, it's like suddenly, oh, there's this childhood friend I've had this whole time. It's like, oh, cool. Like for me personally, I was like, I didn't. I was just more like, okay, well, obviously he's gonna be a plot fixture later on. I don't know, but I don't. I think
I
he
liked
did
it.
it as
I thought it was
or
good.
I was gonna say, I think he did it as organically as possible, but I do think it was like it was out of nowhere. That for me, that's just me though,
when
Josh.
when you get like when you get writers who've done this before, like Bendis tends to do it a
Mm,
lot, where
mm,
he
well,
introduces something new to push the plot.
the
I think
narrative, yeah.
the narrative a little bit more. I think this one is done better than normal.
True, that's fair. That I will absolutely give you. But if we look at it like all things being equal, it still feels out of place. But in terms of that, like if it's got to happen, this is probably the best way to do it. I will agree with you on that. How about
Mhm.
that, Josh? Oh, Derek raised his hand. Yes, Jess.
So
Derek.
I
No,
don't
you can
step
do
on
that.
you guys. I thought, but you gave it away. That was production magic there. But I was just really quick. I was going to mention too. Apparently, this was a Huntress costume slight redesign that he did
Yes.
too,
Yeah.
and then also, yeah, when we're introduced to Tommy, you get the first flashback, which I already mentioned. Jim did watercolors for these, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. You forget like all these guys are like artists, either
Right.
trained and like I see Todd McFarlane. He uses digital a lot when he does videos. Sometimes he's adapted and does digital stuff. I've seen Jim do it once, but he also paints. So does
Yeah.
David Finch. They
Mhm.
all paint. So it's kind of cool. It's getting to see them use different mediums and here they're playing this game. And I was reading in the deluxe edition that he didn't want to take an actual game, but he does. A lot of fans thought it was like, oh, they should have done Stratego, and he does play Stratego, but this obviously is
Yeah.
not it exactly. But
Yeah,
See,
it was
very
which is
very
Stratego
interesting.
esque.
strategic. Go, yeah, ish
Yeah.
though. Like the spy, even the spy kind of looked like Stratego.
Mhm.
Uh, and also, I mean, and there's a lot of Easter eggs in hindsight in this part because if you notice, like after reading, once you've read through it, you can go back and kind of read through it. Like, it could be just an artist thing or just how they all look, but like when Tommy goes in to check up on Bruce after the surgery and stuff, he's wearing a trench coat that looks almost exactly like the one that Killer Croc is wearing, and then eventually Hush will starts to wear as
Yeah.
well. So it's kind of like a nod in plain sight
Yeah.
already. And
Yeah.
and one thing though, I just want to I don't know if I'm the only one on this one too, but one thing I did not really like wasn't feeling too much was the Batmobile design on this.
Mm, okay.
The shield on the front just kind of threw me off a little bit. Um
Look at it again real quick because I do vaguely remember.
He was talking about
Uh,
it in the thing. I thought he said it wasn't an people who were thinking it was like a redesign, but it wasn't. But I didn't quite understand.
yeah, I mean he goes through it to, like in the later issue he goes with Nightwing, they go through you see all the different Batmobiles and
well, yeah, it's that
uh,
carousel of Batmobiles that are
yeah.
in the Batcave, which that's again full of Easter eggs as well. There's I think every Batmobile. When he wrote that, like Jeff was like, "You really want to put that?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to do that." And there's Yeah. Yeah.
And I just wasn't feeling that design. I thought it could have been. I was expecting better. That's
It's
just
very
me.
reminiscent, and I'm looking at it again. It's very reminiscent of the '80s Batmobile, with just a big fin on the back
Yeah.
end. If that makes sense, it really reminds me of the '80s Batmobile. But anyway, we
And
digress.
also, we got Waller, Amanda Waller in this too. Kind of just so like
Walling it up.
walling it up the wall, but you get. So what I'm saying, like in the first 3 issues, you're getting a lot of DC universe in there, which I think is nice. But Derek, you had something to add.
I was just gonna say too, like, just because as much as the story is like really we're talking about, let's be honest again for the casuals, it's the covers. And Jim
Yeah.
did the covers, and there's some pretty epic covers. I especially like 610 with him and Killer Croc.
Yeah,
Him holding him back. I think that's one of the better. I mean, I think they're all great, but I think that's definitely a standout cover amongst the series.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
I
the
agree with that.
the
Nice
info
cover.
page too is great with Croc over Batman, and has him in his uh in his claws, like standing over him. Get back or I'll gut him, which is I think a cool page as well. Like it's very
Mhm.
poster esque.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Did you have something else you wanted to add, Derek?
No.
Okay, so I saw your
You
hand
raised
raised.
your hand.
I thought
I
I
think
thought it,
I think we're
I thought I
overusing.
lowered it. I thought I lowered it.
We're
It's a
overusing the raised hand feature right now.
I thought I lowered it. What the hell?
No, there
All
he goes.
right.
Raised your hand? No, he didn't. Let's get to parts 4 and 5 then. 611 and 612. Josh, go ahead.
Parts 4 through 5 issues is 611, 612, like you said. We get more flashbacks to Tommy and Bruce's childhood, and as Batman and Catwoman head to Metropolis to confront Poison Ivy, who we found out in the last part that she was mind controlling Catwoman to get that ransom money. And when you go to Metropolis, you can't go there without having some appearance of Superman. But of course, Poison Ivy is using her plant powers to control Superman, and we get an
Of
awesome brawl
course.
between Batman and Superman, and Batman wins with the kryptonite ring, and the usage of basically usage of the city itself, like the city's electrical grid, um, the lead lined sewers that he knows that Lex Luthor put in
Built.
there, and using Superman's deep down sense of goodness to like beat him. So like he used Superman like against himself, even though Superman was being
Yeah.
mind controlled. So he knew how to break through that. So this is definitely like the Batman with prep time type of fight scenario, for sure. And I think before this we never really had a true fight between Batman and Superman.
We haven't. We have not. Like, not in
Right.
canon. There is
Yeah.
been fights before, like most obviously the most famous one being the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
But this is the first time canonically the two had really kind of butted heads, at least in the post-crisis universe.
Doesn't he hit Superman after the death of Jason Todd? And
He does. He hits him and he's like, I
and
just broke
Superman's
every
like-
hand in my hand.
or no, I think Superman's like, you're lucky I rolled with that punch, otherwise your hand would be
Yeah,
broken or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a fight though, but yes, he does.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. He does have he takes a swing and like stupidly.
That was in my nerd moment, actually.
Yeah. Actually.
But
I had to get one of those
I knew
in.
that was cool. It was
That-
actually in Batman Comics 428.
I don't get to do that much, so
I know. Well, I mean, calling that a fight is like calling the Batman versus Guy Gardner one
it's a
punch
tiff.
fight.
The one
It was a
punch.
tiff. Yeah.
Now, technically, this is the first time Batman and Superman have fought. Like, I think even Jeph Loeb admitted, like, yeah, we basically ate from Dark Knight Returns because technically Dark Knight Returns isn't canon. It didn't happen or hasn't happened yet. How did you feel about this fight? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think this was just fan service? Do you think he was just ripping off Frank Miller? What was your take on this?
I like the fight. I mean, Derek, you can elaborate more on how you feel, but I liked it. I thought it was a good, genuine fight because it was again, it was Batman with prep time. It wasn't, you know, all out, brawl really.
Yeah, I mean, maybe call me simple, but I thought it was pretty epic. I mean, even rereading it, like I knew it was coming. And like I thought it was pretty epic. Like Batman in Metropolis, and then like I liked the whole setup. Like, oh no, or like they're like, oh, that's it, and then the reveal of like. Again, call me simple, but like, oh, Poison Ivy's got him under her
No, that was
spell.
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
like, and I've talked to you about this, Brian. Superman poses, I like him as a character, but he poses such an interesting writing challenge to writers of like, how can you beat Superman? Like he's so many different, like he's so powerful. You have to really think about like what can trump his being all powerful. And that is like kind of scratch the itch of like, oh, that could be a way, like, Poison Ivy mind control, etc. So
Yeah.
and then you got her fighting Catwoman. I thought it was. I think these are two of the stronger issues. Again, it may be a little simplistic. I did the whole conceit of like, oh, he's still fighting her. He's. They then leaned into how strong he is. He can still fight her spell. And but I did, I thought that was okay. I guess they got to get him out of this somehow. But I did like the whole Catwoman pushing Lois off the
Yeah,
roof.
that was good.
So that balanced it
Snap 'em
out.
out.
That balanced out. I thought that was a cool thing. So I like these two issues a lot. I thought they were pretty
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, I'm of a mixed mind. On the one hand, I'm like, it's almost the exact fight that we see in The Dark Knight Returns, but on the other hand, like, what's that old saying like, good artists steal basically. It's like, well, if it worked for him, it
Mhm.
just make it canon. I guess we're just canonizing. Plus, if you got Jim Lee again, if you got Jim Lee, let Jim Lee. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, this part, I mean, is a pose fest for Superman.
yeah,
I mean, almost every panel is just a cool pose of
yeah.
Superman, like whether he's behind Poison Ivy or
Mhm.
one image. It's just a quick panel, but it's always in my mind when I think about this fight is when they come out of the sewer and he's just casually holding a car. You know, he's like saying like this ends now, and he's just casually, holding a car with one hand, like he's
Oh
just
yeah, as if
about
you
to
would hold a
throw this at
lunchbox or
Batman.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
uh, it's right before he tells Catwoman to push Lois. I also liked how like Superman asks him like, "Did you tell her to pick Lois?" He's like, "No, I gave her choice. I gave her choice out of the three." So like, chill out, man. Like, and
I didn't
like,
let her
I know we
know.
just fought, but like,
Then Tom
but
King
it's
threw
also
that
like,
all away.
but also it's like I gave her a choice out of the three, but it wasn't really much of a choice.
Yeah.
Like
Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, please.
Perry White and Lois. Yeah, I think it was.
Um,
Um,
I I did like too though how they like, they're always at odds, him and Superman a little bit. They're not
mhm.
best buds, but they have this like mutual respect and professional, respect. And it's like, yeah, that's why I knew I gave the ring to the right guy. So I do like
Mm.
that dynamic. But yeah, it's interesting from an artist perspective, the slight like I mean, they are the same. They are both
Yeah.
muscular brunette, dark-haired dudes, white dudes,
Uh-huh.
and so
Yeah.
he has to like there's all these like you could almost swap the mask. They're saying he
Absolutely.
does slightly different things, like Superman's chin or Clark's chin is slightly more square, and he's always
Yeah,
a little bit taller than Bruce, but there's all
Got
and
a
his
little
hair's done
curl.
slightly different, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
all these, like, slight things that he does, um and then I also made a note to like, it's funny how, like, the slight differences. Does Bruce ever get jealous of Batman? Because him and Catwoman's relationship is slightly different than how Clark's and Superman's with Lois was. Like, literally, Bruce at the beginning of this is dating Catwoman, yet he knows as Batman, they just made out. So
mhm.
in Clark's case, he was a little like it was more straightforward. He knew Lois didn't have any interest in Clark, was interested in Superman. In Bruce's case, it's a little like, wait, she playing both of us?
Yeah,
It's funny. I don't think, this is just my own headcanon, and this it's a video that I used on the last G4. Um, the reason I say this is because, like, in my mind, Bruce Wayne doesn't exist. Like, he is just Batman through and through. And there's this
Mhm.
great video where someone took, like, it's like where it's from the animated series, and Flash is like, "Hey, I like you guys, but I don't trust any of you." And Batman walks up, and he's like, "Clark Kent, Wally West," and he goes and he grabs
Oh,
his mask,
it's
he pulls it back, he's like, "Batman!" There's like another Batman mask underneath.
it's like I think it's a parody of the Justice League episode. It was
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Yeah.
there was
Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah,
no,
but
it was right before Unlimited. It was
Oh,
actually
okay.
the Starcross or whatever, the Thanagarian took over, and now they're
yeah.
hiding all from
But the reason I say this though is that, like, it's like this is because Batman is just Batman. Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne is the mask, and he doesn't care what Bruce Wayne does or what happens to me. Like, literally, it's like, oh, the mansion burned. It's like, I don't care. As long as the Batcave's there, I'm still good.
I guess that makes sense. That's interesting because as Bruce, I'd be like, wait, this chick's
Yeah.
canoodling with Batman. Here she's with me at this gala. What the hell?
Well, that's like in Long Halloween. It's like that too, a little bit, because he's canoodling with Celine at the beginning as Bruce Wayne. And then she's like, "Hey, do you want to go back to my place?" He's like, "No, I don't feel good." And she's like, "You're lost, dude." And he's like, "Yeah, I got to go beat Batman." I don't know. It's just whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know. Josh, sorry, I don't.
Bruce Wayne is the means to the end of Batman's mission. I think that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, what was it? Bruce Wayne died with his parents in Crime Alley, and that's
Yeah,
what
It's
Batman
true
I guess
though.
that makes
He's in.
sense.
Well, he lives in. I mean, that's the thing. Is like if you're going to play armchair psychologist, like, yeah, he is that 8-year-old little boy or 9-year-old little boy who watched his parents. He has never grown up from beyond that point. Batman emerged from that shell, and that's who we have now.
That
But
makes sense. It's like Clark's relationship with Lois is more straightforward. It makes sense. He's like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
you just like Superman, and because she didn't like Clark, and but she wasn't playing both of them. She just liked Superman. That was it.
Yeah. And I think it goes too with Catwoman. There's an air of an ulterior motive at all
Yeah,
times.
she's playing the game too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like
he gives her a pass. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So he he knows. Batman knows.
Yeah.
And also like this part we get more of like his what I love the backstory too of him and Tommy going to Metropolis for the first time, and you kind of get the other original
Green Lantern.
Gotham superhero of Green Lantern against Icicle.
yeah, that was cool.
And just like the and then you kind of also get like where Thomas Wayne is a bit of a stickler. Like they go maybe 5 feet away from the car, and he's like, "You guys left the car when I told you not to. You're staying in the room this whole time now." It's like, oh my
That's
god,
right.
dude! Like, chill out.
Yeah, it's so
Like,
funny. Like Thomas Wayne is always written weird. Like he's either like, oh,
Yeah.
this loving, caring father, or he's like written as like complete. It's like the same with Jor-El is written the same way though too. Like, oh, they're
Yeah.
loving fathers or they're complete dicks. But whatever.
And we got a little crypto cameo.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's why I like that. I like that usage too of crypto. I didn't like when I was first reading this. I was like, oh, that is actually pretty smart. It's the super sniffer.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's move on to part 6 and 8. Unless you got something else you want to add to that. How do y'all feel?
one last thing is just
Sure.
because Derek mentioned in the last part, but the covers on this part too were
Oh yeah,
very good with Poison Ivy, and then just the Superman over Batman. Batman struggling.
Yeah.
and a little Easter egg on was it Catwoman's down her right leg. The vines on that cover spell out Poison Ivy. If you
That's
turn if you turn the cover sideways.
That's really cool, actually. I was gonna say that's the Catwoman costume from the Brubaker run of Catwoman, where they changed the costume design to make her more like a cat burglar. Because normally, up to that point, it was the old Jim Ballant run, which was like the purple costume that looked more like a supervillain kind of thing. But anyway, I will say, speaking of covers, one of the covers coming up in the next run, I think it's 613. It's the Harley Quinn cover where she is pointing the gun, but it's the poster of her pointing the gun at Batman. I that's one of my favorite covers from this series, actually.
Yes.
Let me
Yeah.
see
That's
that
right. And then him holding Catwoman.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's holding Catwoman in the. It's very close. It's not exactly, but it's very close to the infamous DC. DC holding
Holding a dead person on the
holding
cover,
a dead
Infinite
person.
Crisis.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they've done many a times where it's the person holding them like semi-dead,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's not yelling, but it's very
yeah,
close.
and covers you never can trust, but it does allude to something in there. So maybe not
Yes,
Catwoman, but yeah.
and then for just people who didn't get it in single issues or in digital, like this next part is that second volume of the trades. So this is like the
Oh,
just to give
cool.
people an idea. We're in the second volume of it. And then yeah, for part 6 through 8 is issue 613 through 615. Uh we mentioned it before, but Bruce, Selena, and Tommy and Leslie Tompkins are head to the opera where Harley all of a sudden shows up to rob it, and she steals a family heirloom from Tommy, which results in him following her, in like a weird bit of rage, and he
Yeah.
gets shot in an alley, supposedly killed by the Joker. And Batman at this point, it's another straw that kind of breaks the camel's back, and he kind of just loses his shit. And
Yeah.
um he's beaten the crap out of the Joker. He's finally like on the verge of, ending the Joker, and he's stopped by James Gordon, who has I love the shot that he does, like the last warning shot where he clips one of his bat ears. And with that, after attending Tommy's funeral, Nightwing arrives, and they have a little bit of a heart to heart as they pursue the Riddler of like, what Batman, what are you really doing with Catwoman? Like, what's going on, man? Um, and the issue ends with the man in bandages revealing himself to be Two-Face, and excuse me, the man revealing to be Two-Face, or actually Harvey Dent, to the Joker, and Batman revealing his secret identity to Catwoman, which is a big moment because this is, even though the Bat family is pretty big at this point, like there's not a lot of people that know Bruce Wayne as
Outside the
Batman
Batfleck.
canonically,
Yeah,
really.
outside the Bat family. Yeah.
So that was a big it was a big deal.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Um, we get a little bit of a misdirection trope because we do have like a quote, the death of Tommy Elliot, which is
Yeah.
similar to like the death of Alberto Falcone in Long Halloween. We also get the illusion that Hush is probably Two Face. It is worth noting though, then this obviously the spoiler, so it doesn't matter. To tell the difference between Two Face and Hush, Hush will always whisper, Hush, and Two Face will always talk in a talking normal tone.
Mm.
If you look at the dialogue bubbles.
Oh, I didn't even
Um,
realize that.
Yeah,
yeah,
me neither.
yeah. So if you look, anytime you see anybody whispering, that's Hush because he talks in a hushed voice, and then yeah, Harvey is talking full volume. Um, the question I have to ask you guys, both of you, and I have my own again thoughts on this. Do we really believe that this childhood friend who we've never met before at this point would be the straw that would send Batman over the edge, especially after considering what he did to Jason, after what he did to Barbara, what he's done to Gordon in the past, to all the people that he's killed over his life? Like this childhood friend that we've never met, this would be the thing would send Batman into a killing frenzy for 22 pages?
I don't know. I mean, it is a bit of a stretch, but it is also like it's somebody that he just reconnected with
Mhm.
in his life, and had saved his
Yeah.
life too.
Okay.
And also, I mean, it might be alluded to like later on in the storyline when we get to it, but it could also be part of that subliminal
Yeah, yeah,
messaging, just that mind kind of thing
that's
that
true.
puts him to it. So I mean,
I'll
and
allow
also,
it.
I mean,
That's good.
like,
Good point.
and like you said though too, like you after Jason Todd, after Gordon, after Barbara, after, it's like maybe that is probably the last thing that
Stick.
puts him over.
Yeah.
I just didn't love it just because it's been done, like, it was didn't this exact same thing happen in, Killing Joke? Like, where he's stopped by Jim, like, he's beaten him senseless, and then he's stopped
Yeah,
by
and
Jim?
then Gordon stops him at the last
Yeah,
second.
yeah, so to me, it was just like, this is just retread materials.
Retread material.
That's why I didn't like it or didn't believe it, like,
Yeah.
didn't we do this? That being said, I like Jim, like I was talking before, I like Jim Lee's interpretation of the Joker, very menacing.
Mhm.
Like it's all the classic colors, same
Yeah.
outfit, same costume, but like done
That long chin. Yeah.
really maniacally with the teeth and everything. And yeah, I did like kind of like Catwoman kind of stopping him. I'm not, of course, a violence against women, but you do get Batman
I know.
knocking
Yeah.
out Harley, and then I do. It's interesting how it, like good way to solve it. Hit her where she was wounded to
Yeah. Yeah.
to incapacitate her. But yeah, I didn't. There's some cool shots, panels in here, but yeah, to me it seemed like retread material.
Yeah, and I think to me that's again, I think you have to read it in a certain context because for me, if I'm looking at it just like objectively, that's the problem with I have with a lot of the books is it's like it reads like a greatest hits of Batman moments. A lot of the
Mm,
book is like that.
yeah.
Now, again, when you have Jim Lee and you're writing to him and you're also trying to introduce a lapsed audience or an audience that's new to it, maybe that's what you exactly needed to do. I don't know. That's a discussion I think
Mhm.
we'll have afterwards, but that's just me personally. I
I
think
think
that
yeah, maybe yeah, like that's a good point. And maybe it's going into assuming that fans are coming back into this and they don't know the full history. So it's like
yeah,
it's that kind of trope of like, the serialized TV show where you kind of have to
yeah.
remind people who are first getting it, first reading it, for the first time in a
Yeah.
while, like what's up to date.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and so I think you just have to really look at the context of, like, how we're reading this. Like, as I said before, it's like the last issue literally sold, a third of what the first issue sold. So, like, you're tripling your audience overnight, you know? So, yeah, they're doing something right. Um, how did you guys feel about Batman revealing his identity to Catwoman? Do you think that worked? Did it not work? Or were you on board? Do you think that was silly?
I didn't think it was silly. I mean, I think it
It seemed
didn't
a little
seem
risky
out
to
of left
me is what
field to
I'm
me.
kinda
It is
getting
real
at.
risky, but it is, but also like with their history, I guess, and like he's already macking on her before,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of um I didn't when I was first reading it, I wasn't like, "Oh my god, that's weird." Like what that's
Mhm.
way out of character. What's going on? I just I was like, "Oh, okay, okay." So they made that initial just that next
Yeah.
step in their relationship,
Yeah.
or, story-wise.
I mean, it
Yeah.
does help that Nightwing kind of egged him on for it too, but
Yeah,
sorry,
I
Derek.
think, you know, and
Go ahead.
yeah, just with I do the yeah, he had Nightwing like his other than Alfred, I think Nightwing is this closest confidant too. Like the only other person that knows Bruce or Batman as well as Alfred is Dick Grayson, so he's taken his advice to heart as well, and just as somebody who just wants the best for him.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's also in the back of his mind.
Yeah, I I would say this 615, I like,
Uh-huh.
this issue, it's up there with the 2 Superman issues. I
Mhm.
like, I thought the writing was really good and kinda like the interplay with Nightwing, and then, like, the last couple lines, "Dick was right. I should have shaved." Not about, he didn't ever wants to
Yeah.
admit Dick was right about, like, his advice, and I almost don't think, like, he listens to, like, almost like, I agree with you, Josh, but it's not like he's taking his advice, almost like that nod there, but he does listen. He does
Yeah.
listen to
Yeah.
Dick, you know?
Uh,
And so when I saw this, and again, I think it's great kinda paneled with the reveal of Harvey to the Joker. It was
mhm.
interesting. Good layout there. I was a little shocked. I hadn't now read all the Batmans up to this point, but obviously I kind of knew they had a thing. So I just feel I was leaning like I think this is where we were critiquing before this is retread material. Well, this is the writers saying and the team saying, well, here, this isn't retread material. We
Yeah.
leaned
This
into it. Are you
Yeah.
happy? So I am happy with
We
it.
did something new.
They took a swing. They took a swing. They pushed things forward. We're not just getting the flirting, the
Yeah.
cheesy lines over and over on rooftops. They're like, here, you don't want retread material. Here you go. And I appreciate a swing like that. You know?
That's fun. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. A couple of the Easter eggs in this issue or these issues is that like we'd mentioned the carousel of Batmobiles. Like there's pretty much every
Yeah.
Batmobile known to man in this
Mhm.
giant carousel that just goes deep into the Batcave. You also supposedly that you can see the dinosaur and the penny in the background, which they had removed from canon, but Jim Lee was like, "F that noise, I'm putting it in the
I
background."
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
The
did
other
they
thing that's
remove
really
that from canon?
who knows? Because they thought it was too silly or something like that. Who knows? But I know that in No Man's Land, the penny falls down into after No Man's Land, it falls down into like the Batcave, and he gets Aquaman to try and help him get it out. And
Mm.
Aquaman's like, "That's not getting out. Like, it's jammed between 2 things. Like, this maybe Superman can get this out." It's like he's like, "Batman, you knew this couldn't get out. If you wanted to have a beard, just tell me next time and I'll bring a six-pack." Like, he was like basically the implication was like Batman called him to help him out, but knowing that he couldn't, but he wanted to hang out with a friend. And,
That's
Batman
funny.
being Batman can't just ask,
Oh.
and Aquaman's just like, "Let me know. I'll bring a six-pack next time." The
Huh.
other really cool Easter egg is in the background of that opera shot, speaking of Jim Lee's details, is if you look in the background, not only do you see Jim Lee, you see, a bunch of the Wildstorm cats in the background with, like, in the back.
Mm.
You also see some of the X-Men, like, you can straight up see Wolverine, like, in some of the, so, again, little Easter eggs. You gotta really look for it, but it's in there. It's really neat.
Yeah. I really like at the beginning of the issue 2 of 615,
Yeah.
the overhead shot of the casket going into the ground. Again, kinda
Yeah.
just showing the versatility
Yeah.
of really good artists who've been doing this a long time. They can do any sort of, compose any sort of piece that they want, and, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and with that too, that page, like the simplicity of it too,
Mhm.
where the use of the colors of just black, so
Mhm.
it's just the shapes of the silhouettes. You don't have to get the detail of what they're wearing. You just get the overhead silhouettes. It's like a use of it's like it's cut out almost or
Mhm.
Yeah.
negative space, which I like.
Mhm. Yeah, I like all
And then like
the old
I'm sorry.
cars in that double
Yeah.
panel, the movie from the different movies.
Yeah. Well, and then like when you juxtapose that overhead shot of it doesn't need as much detail to the ultra detailed of like him with a holographic back
Mhm.
computer and stuff like that too. So it's and
Yeah,
yeah, and then
that's amazing.
the big question mark on the all his rogues or something. So
Yeah, that's impressive coloring and layering,
yeah.
and yeah, that's amazing.
In what's great about 615 too, just the usage of the Riddler in this as well.
Yeah, it's
So
a
just,
misdirect.
like the whole the misdirect of, I half expected him to have retired by now and he's just routine.
Also,
Well,
little foreshadowing him making the thought bubbles comments about Nightwing's Dick's, acrobatics and moves
Mhm.
oh, interesting, yeah,
as he's
so
fighting
that's
the
gonna
goons because it kind
yeah,
of
that's
comes
gonna come
back
up.
into play later.
Yeah, it comes literally the next issue or the next 2 issues it comes up, or next
Yeah.
2 or 3 issues, yeah. Um Speaking of those next few issues, the next issues include a wizard interlude, which we'll get into. I just want to bring up speaking of all the sort of sex and romance, the original version of this like interlude that only appeared in Wizard comics. It was like a 6-page thing that it was Wizard number 0. They were trying to relaunch a little bit. Originally, the original pitch was that it was going to be Batman and Catwoman having sex, and Jim Lee like calls up Jeff and he's like, "Yo, like, so they're gonna like have sex, but they're gonna keep their masks on, and Alfred's gonna be in the background watching." And like he was like, "Yeah, maybe let's not do that." And they changed the whole interlude to just be like a moment in the cave with them. But it's just funny. Yeah, like originally, yeah, they're gonna have sex with the masks on and just put all those rumors to rest. Let's keep moving on. Sorry, Josh.
No, no, we're good. We're good. So parts 9 and 10, 9 through 10, excuse me, it's issues 616 through 617. And Batman in this one catches Talia to provoke Raish, excuse me, Al Ghul.
I'm gonna say Roz. I
Uh,
don't care what you say.
I know, but the creators one that said it was Raish.
I
That's
don't care.
even though it hurts my heart. Um, because in the previous issue, he saw Lazarus Pit Ash in the armored car that the Riddler stole. So Raish leaves a sword in the back computer. And so Batman takes that as an invitation and heads to the desert to fight him to see who is behind everything. But is to see if Raish is behind everything because of the Lazarus pit, and it's something Raish would do. and he is actually not. So Lady Shiva arrives to free Talia and beats the hell out of Catwoman, as
Yep.
you kind of would
She
expect.
should.
She's one of the best hand-to-hand fighters in all of DC Comics.
Yeah, I like that they don't have power creep with Catwoman.
Yes.
I like that she actually got easily waxed.
Yeah, it works very well. And then Talia breaks free herself, though, and keeps Catwoman alive until Batman arrives, warning him that his opponent will use his love for her against him. And after taking Catwoman to the Batcave, Robin, the best Robin, Tim Drake, arrives and gets into a fight with Catwoman, resulting in her leaving. And actually, it turns out to be a ruse by Robin and Batman to see if they can really trust her. And she runs into
good.
I did like that. And then she runs into the Huntress, who is under the influence of Scarecrow's fear gas. And of course, they fight, and Batman steps in and beats the hell out of Scarecrow, looking for answers on who's behind it all. And the answer is a resurrected Jason Todd. That's Robin number 2, with a battering to Tim's throat. And that's the end of excuse me, that issue. And what did you guys think of the reveal of it being Jason Todd?
I mean, I have my thoughts, but Derek, do you want to did you have did this have any impact on you as like a fresh Batman reader?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, oh shit. I mean, we'll get into it. I was kind of disappointed with how it turned out, but
Yeah, that's a whole yeah.
the initial reveal I thought was, I don't know. Again, I got looking at it from two different perspectives. For at the time, 17-year-old me, I thought it was like, oh, this is kind of cool, kind of interesting. Even at that age, I did feel that it was a little gimmicky, but being just, again, a Robin fan, Batman history fan, I was like, ooh, this is interesting. He looked cool. Like that costume looks cool.
Design is cool.
Yeah, the costume design is cool. So,
Like drip,
yeah, I had mixed. Overall, I was excited at the time, but yeah, as you come to find out, though, I was a little let down.
Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of fans suspected it was Jason Todd. Like I said, there's like a few Easter eggs here and there that kind of allude to him, which they weren't intentional. Like, and it's funny, like some people think that originally the whole villain was always supposed to be Jason Todd and that DC Comics got cold feet, and then they made them change it. I haven't found any evidence to really support that theory. Like despite the fact that, like you said, there's Robin.
That it was supposed to be who first?
Jason Todd. Originally, that like because remember they were like 6 issues out ahead before they even went to print on the first issue, and like a lot of people suspect that DC Comics got cold feet about it. Like they're like, you know what, we don't want to be Jason Todd because at that point, I wrote this in the notes. Death in comics, I don't want to say it was sacred, but there were certain sacred deaths in comics. There were like sacred cows.
Yeah.
Like we have like Uncle Ben, Bucky at this point still, Jason Todd, the Waynes, Superman's parents, or Jor-El, and all that. Now almost all of those have been thrown away, but at the time it was like Jason Todd was like one of that holy trinity of Bucky, Uncle Ben, and Jason. You can't bring them back, and I think at that time, like I said, the theory is that DC got like cold feet, like no, fans are going to react badly. Let's just change everything up at the last second, which in a weird way makes sense because like it's really convoluted. The ending, it gets really wonkadoo, like when you kind of wrap everything up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I can't find any evidence that was true or not. There is, like I said, there's some Easter eggs that allude to it, but I don't know if that's true or not. But what do you think? Josh, do you think that this was a good reveal? This was a bad reveal? What did you think about like seeing Jason Todd, at least at this point?
I think it did what it was supposed to do, which make me put my jaw on the floor. Like, oh shit moment.
Yeah.
That's Jeph Loeb really likes those moments, and that definitely was one.
Yeah.
Especially with all the different misdirects of Hush before.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good reveal, and I think also 25 years later, I really like how they have brought him back and how well he's done. And it was appropriate too that he took his replacement as a hostage.
Yeah.
So
I did like that. It's a striking image too, that last page. Him
Right.
holding, Robin.
It's like
Robin, Kate crime.
Right.
But
It's like a twisted way of passing the torch.
Well, so it's what we refer to in the biz as a mic drop, I believe.
I believe. But
No,
and also
good.
like you said though, Jason Todd was a canon death, or you know what I mean? Like so it was something that you didn't think would happen because he was one of the what is it, the permanent angels. Let's just say that. Like he's a permanent angel. He wasn't Jean Grey at the time.
Yeah. Well, Jean Grey, I hate to say, but Jean Grey broke the floodgates because even like Gwen Stacy, when she died, they brought her back as like a clone. Oh, it's the clone of Gwen Stacy. And it's like every time up to that point. But when Jean Grey came back, like that was like they saw how fans reacted. Like, okay, well, fuck it. We're just everyone's. I mean, it was so badly was when they killed Miss Marvel a few years back. Like literally the next month they kill her, and then the next month they're like, oh, she's coming back next issue. Like it was like, well, what was the point of that? You made a big deal out of that, and it's like death is meaningless in comics almost in a way, And I think Jean Grey had a lot to do with that, but I do think the Jason Todd Bucky thing also had a lot to do with it. As good as those characters are, it did kind of really open the floodgates for just death is meaningless in comics at this point.
Very true. And it wasn't in retconned type of thing. The result of him coming back into senses because of Superboy Prime. Him punching the Superboy Prime punch. Yeah,
because Superboy
he wasn't the only hero that came back.
No, yeah.
That's
canonically,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Yeah, he punched reality so hard that he shifted it, and like things changed within the DC universe. And one of the changes was that Jason Todd, shortly after he died, was actually not dead and crawls out of his coffin. Which you think Batman would have noticed a coffin? That one of his wards was like,
he just really didn't like Jason. He's like, oh no, he's dead. Let's bury him.
Yeah, it's like I've got his uniform and display. We're good.
I see his chest moving, Bruce. Nah, he's dead.
Yeah, no, that's an impulsive reaction.
We can't save him, but I'm not dead. It's too, it's too.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like I at the time, like my jaw did hit the floor when I saw it, and I remember I wasn't even a huge Batman guy at the time, and I was like, oh, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Like I can't believe they're actually doing this. But then, as we soon find out, issues 11 or 18 and 19, all of that might have been for naught.
But I just don't understand. Like I really liked. I mentioned before the little ruse that Bruce and Tim played on Catwoman there.
Yeah.
So you can do that little fun, clever misdirection, and then the end of the issue is like I didn't understand the Huntress thing. Like, oh, she was acting that way because she was scared by Scarecrow. That kind of didn't work with me. That was more like a Poison Ivy type thing, mind control thing, or some other Mad Hatter type thing. So I didn't quite understand that. And then but I thought that overall the reveal was cool. It's like, it looks like a grown Jason Todd.
Yeah.
So
it's a smashing image. Like it really is. Like it was like, like
over his grave.
What's up?
Oh, and it's over his grave.
Yeah. I mean, the costume is great. That little white flare he has in his hair, like everything about it is like, this is awesome. This is a grown-up Jason Todd, because he's like almost in between but he's in between size of Tim and Nightwing. Nightwing's a lot more leaner and muscular. This Jason Todd looks bulky and like a brawler. You know what I mean? Like it looked, I still love that image. In hindsight, I really wish this had been he had been the guy behind it all. Like, but we'll get into it in a second. I'm sorry.
No, so let's move on to the before we move on,
real quick, I just wanted to mention because we didn't talk about it. Again, maybe the story arc's a little questionable here in this series, but I do like some of the dialogue that Jeph wrote with Talia and Catwoman. I can smell them on you, and some of that little back and forth, and like Alfred and Catwoman's back and forth in the interlude, where he kind of like gives her a warning not to mess with Bruce's heart. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I like some of
Oh,
the dialogue does strike a chord with me, but yeah, some of the story decisions, or plot
and
decisions.
yeah, a little, yeah, fall under its own weight.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Moving on to parts 11 through 12, which is issue 618, 619. Batman and Jason fight for a bit until Batman puts the clues together and figures out that it is actually Clayface, not Jason Todd.
Oh,
And there's still someone else pulling the strings. And that's it's the career of Jeph Loeb, the highest high down to the lowest low. He puts the clues together and dramatic music sting, da da da.
dun dun dun.
Turns out the Hush is actually Thomas Elliot, and he used Batman's and so he's not dead. It was all a ruse.
What?
Um,
Shock surprise.
yeah, he used Batman's computer guy to set him up, and actually, he's not the mastermind behind the whole thing. It actually turns out I know, right? It turns out the Riddler is behind it all. Another dramatic music sting, bum bum bum. And this is kind of where we also get the Brian Bendis moment, where we get about 41 word bubbles on one page.
Yep.
And so dialogue on dialogue on dialogue. It's Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, he had 3 pages to wrap up the entire mystery and explain all the motivations for Riddler right here. Why Riddler was there now, how everyone was involved. Oh, he wanted money. Oh, he wanted psychological profiles. It was like, oh man, even Loeb was like, I needed 10 pages. I got 3. You know what I mean?
Right. And then we get the, like you said, the typical Riddler BS to explain all of the motive. And at the end, we get a little back and forth between Supes and Batman. And that was, I guess, originally supposed to be the ending to the book. So it could lead into the new Batman and Superman book by Loeb. But Lee convinced him to end it on Catwoman. And yeah, that's really the whole story of the kit and caboodle about it. And what did you guys think of the all the reveals, like that it was Thomas Elliot, that it was Clayface, not Jason Todd, and then that eventually gets retconned, and then the Hush reveal and stuff? What did you guys think of this whole wrap up ending?
Real quick, I wasn't say one thing I want to add. I didn't put it in the notes, but like the fact that like they do this whole thing like song and dance about like the misdirect with Two-Face and how he gets healed and he gets his whole face back and he's going to be a good guy now, and then like that goes nowhere. That literally goes nowhere, and it does not only does it go nowhere in this book, it goes nowhere in the subsequent series, like in the subsequent books where they just always Two-Face again like 3 years later. It's like, oh, okay, well,
They don't
what
even
was the point of
explain
that?
it. They just
Not
they just
really.
pretend
I'm sure
they just
yeah,
forget it. That never happened.
yeah. The other thing too is like the retcon, like, oh no, that actually, and they retcon it with Judd Winnick's Under the Red Hood, where you find out that actually that was Red Hood or Jason Todd fighting Batman, and then when they went around a corner, Clayface like quickly turns into him and then fights Batman. So like it was like a weird retcon to like, no, it was Jason Todd the whole time, but not.
But he had the moves of Dick.
Yes, he had the moves of Dick for most
Right.
of the fight. Yeah. I honestly, like, to me, it should have just been Jason Todd. I wish that whoever they just said, no, we don't need this second reveal that it's the Riddler behind it all, and that it was like Hush behind it all, and that it was like, it should have just been Jason Todd. Like, he got thrown to a Lazarus pit, but you could even had Riddler do it. Like, Riddler's, I figured out who your identity was. I figured out it was Jason Todd was your ward. I threw him in the Lazarus pit and convinced him to go after you, and that's who it was. Like, that would have been cool as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it would make sense.
Yeah.
Or
instead of this like punch your reality crap, it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Or you
Oh,
could
sorry, Derek.
you could take it another way, like maybe through this all keep it as is, and then you end it with Bruce getting the idea. Wait a second, maybe I can take some Jason Todd DNA, gets a little crazy, tries to Lazarus pit Jason and turn him good, but it goes wrong. And I just don't like. I think too they didn't clean it up by like Clayface
Yeah.
didn't have any lines. His last line
Yeah.
is I only wanted to be loved, Batman. And then there's no resolution like, oh, it's Clayface. Like, why I
Well,
know he's dissolving in the rain, but like he should have had a line as Clayface.
well, not only that, it's Clayface number 8. It's a Clayface we've actually never been introduced, or they had to
Yeah.
like tell his backstory 8 issues later that, oh, it was like, it literally was like a complete, it was generic Clayface. It literally, and I'm pretty sure it was Clayface number 8 or something like that. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, as bringing to your question, Brian, as a casual fan being brought back to the series, using an obscure character as the linchpin, you
Oh yeah,
know,
Yeah.
his mute
his computer guy Harold.
his mute computer guy. Like I'm like, who the hell is this? Like using that as a plot linchpin. I was like, oh god, like I don't.
Well,
That was a little disappointing.
yeah, Jeph Loeb even admits he's like, yeah, I messed that up. I should have introduced the character earlier in the series.
Yeah,
That way, when
that
he
would have
did come
helped.
up at the end, it wouldn't have been because he comes out of left field, and you're like, wait,
I
who's
mean,
this guy?
yeah.
It was very comic booky, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like very old school comic
yeah.
booky. It was me the whole time.
Yeah, even like Loeb admits like the Riddler thing. He's like, yeah, he's like that's had some reaction online, and he's like, now it's like anytime there's like some convoluted plot in a Spider-Man book, where it's like it was the Riddler the whole time in a Spider-Man book, like he admits like, yeah, people have definitely taken that and run with it.
Mm.
I heard that it's even worse in the cartoon, but I don't know.
I don't even. Yeah,
Okay,
so they did an animated movie of Hush, and they had it as the Riddler is Hush. Like
yeah,
he gets souped up, and he has like a bullseye a scar, but it's like it's a question
okay, we're
mark
done
on
here.
his head.
Yeah, okay, we're done.
And they do like some weird changes, like it's Bane instead of Killer Croc.
Uh,
And there's just some changes that just didn't
okay,
make sense to change.
you know,
Damien instead of Tim Drake.
uh,
So
okay.
did I don't I like again, I was so confused the first time I read this. I didn't know who like again back in the day, I was like going off to college. Like I
Yeah.
loosely read these like, months apart. And I
Mhm.
like I the first time I read it, I literally didn't know who Hush was at the end of it. I was like, who is it?
Mhm.
And even now to this day, I've much I've enjoyed it more over the years. But like they don't really wrap up what happened.
Nope.
So like the with Tommy, he goes into the river. He's wearing the Jason Todd costume, right?
But it's with an
But with the
H instead of an
bandages.
R.
Yeah, exactly. And it's with the bandages, yet Tommy somehow is like an expert fighter. And and then the last
Mhm.
panel you get is night vision engaged with Batman underwater. There's n- there's not even they're basically doing the whole movie thing, the little, like, loose end loophole, never recovered the
Yeah.
body, kinda like
Yeah.
actually, Mask of the Phantasm type thing, but there is no panel or shot of just, the trail of water and a red glove or something or a bandage.
Yeah.
They don't even that's why it's confusing. You don't really understand that, "Oh, that was Tommy, and now there's no body recovery. We're leaving it open-ended." They needed just one little more panel of a bandage in the water or something.
Well, not only that, but also, like, his motivation is really suspect too. It's like, apparently he's just a psychotic dude who, like, because like, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, he tried to kill both of his parents so he
Yeah.
could
Yeah,
get all the money,
yeah,
but but Bruce Wayne's father, being the surgeon, saves the mom's life,
yeah.
and so because the mom lives, he doesn't get the money until he turns 18 at this
Yeah,
point.
he was like Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son. But,
Yeah, the
like
good stuff.
Right.
but what I didn't understand once that motivation was revealed, it's like, you had all these other years to kill your mom if that's what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
wanted to
exactly.
do. Like, so
Well,
why
and
didn't
then
you
I
just like,
guess
"Ah, damn, that didn't work out," and then just push her down the stairs the next day?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and then I guess they later on reveal that the father was like, I want to say like if I'm remembering this correctly, because they do flesh out Tommy's character later on. Like Paul Dini does the best version of this, but like
Yeah.
fleshes out like Tommy, and that's when he changes his face to look like Bruce Wayne, and it's like a whole thing. But like I guess like the mom then taught him the ways of how to play stratego and strategy and all that kind of stuff. So like he loves his mom weirdly, and I don't know. It's really weird. Like it gets really convoluted, all of Tommy's motivations and all of that stuff. Which I'm
And
saying, which kind of goes to my point. It's like the whole thing kind of starts to fall apart when you start to nitpick it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I
Josh,
mean, were they
oh, sorry.
intentionally trying? Just question it for both of you. Are they were they intentionally trying to leave all these like loose ends, like the whole Superman burning that thing in the back of his head that he detected? Like, were they intentionally trying to like, oh, we're gonna wrap things up, but also not? Like, they never even talk about what that actually was. He just burned a hole in his skull, and just they're
Oh
like,
no,
oh,
they it
thanks,
was
man.
a yeah, it was like a little tracker or something
Well,
that
he
Tommy put
thought it
in
was
when
a
he was.
tracker.
Uh-huh.
He had the suspicion, and he's like, "Yeah, I see something. Okay, burn it out." They never like. There was never any like
Confirmed.
I think it's
conclusive.
alluded to, yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean, I mean, I think it's alluded to enough where you don't need it. Sometimes you don't need it to like
yeah.
specifically spelled out and stuff because also, I mean,
Do, dummies
he had
like
a.
me need it though.
No, you're good. I also at that point he's like, I gotta wrap everything up in like 5 pages,
Well,
and
yeah.
then the
Well, that was
Riddler
the thing I
done
was
in
saying. Loeb was like, I
3.
need 10 pages. You get 3.
Yeah.
Okay. I do feel bad for the man in that regard. Like, Ghibli's like, I'm not drawing 7 more pages for you. I'm done. I'm out. We got to make a deadline. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and and just trying to get it out with,
Uh,
I mean,
yeah.
pressure from
To be fair,
editorial and Jim Lee.
to to be fair, they did hit every month. They never missed. They never missed
Mhm.
for a Jim Lee, because as we see with Hutch 2 now, it's literally been almost a year since the last issue of Between has dropped. You know what I mean?
Jim has an anecdote in the back of the deluxe edition where he said he was in New York for what, and then the deadline was the next day, and he realized he had to like scan some stuff and he had to
Yeah,
make
that's
edits
right.
and scan stuff. So he called like a printer. Everyone's closed, but he called this one print shop, and like he was talking with the guy on the phone. He's like, "Oh, I was a comic book fan. I used to read Image Comics," and then Jim drops like who he was, and so the guy opens up just for Jim on Sunday to quick deliver him at like 3
Yeah.
a.m. or something.
Yeah, I saw yeah, I read that, it was great. I will say, at the end of the day, like, this final issue did sell, like, 235K. I mean, it more than 100,000 than the first issue when it got released. So, now granted, there was 3 different covers for the final issue. That still said, like, this proved, like, this was a success, you know, from just a sales standpoint, Josh, I mean, do you think it was a success elsewhere, or what, do you have reservations on any of that?
I mean, the overall, okay, because we're at the end, so like I'm gonna
Yeah.
think of it as an overall
Oh, yeah, I
story,
just
and
sure, if you wanna do that, that's fine. I was just like,
yeah,
about that.
I mean, it's the way that it's wrapped up. Yes, it's like you had the I think it's tough because it's like the oh shit moment of Jason Todd was then it's like you have so much more left that you had to get through
Yeah.
after that. So like it diluted that moment, I guess, with
Yes.
everything. So I think that's the detriment of that. But overall, I think as a story, there's a reason why it's like one of like a lot. It's on a lot of lists of people's favorite
Favorite.
Batman stories, and I think it's a fun story that, yes, there's you can poke holes into it for sure, but like the art is on all cylinders. I think Jeph Loeb, this is in the good heyday area of Jeph Loeb too.
Mhm.
So I think all that
Yeah.
stuff kind of starts to come together. Well, and I think just overall it's just a really fun book.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that if you look at it too strongly, it all starts to fall apart, which is why I think that it's like, for me, Derek, you can throw your thoughts in on this too. I think this is to showcase Jim Lee, you know, Jim Lee's art, and it's like a greatest hits of Batman moments. You've got him fighting Raja Ghul in the desert with swords. I mean, the only thing that would have made it better is he would somehow took it off his. It was bare chested as he fought him. Slash. It's like that's
Mhm.
right out of the the Denny O'Neil and like Neil Adams era. You've got from the Demon Lives Again. You've got Long Halloween kind of mystery with a misdirects left and right. You've got the Dark Knight Returns fights of Superman and Batman. You've got the Two Face being cured through, so you have all those like moments through, Batman lore and history, and it's just been like represented in a one tight, complete volume with, of course, like I said, Jim Lee doing the art. And in that regard, I think it definitely works. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, I don't love I over the years, each time I've reread it, I've liked it more and more. That being said, just like, on Elliot's medical records, the name used was Arthur Wynn, the inventor of the
Yeah.
crossword. Like,
Mhm.
there's just stuff like that, but at the same time, there's so many cool moments, like him, like, for a second, you're like, "Wait, oh, he killed Raish?" Like, Batman doesn't
Yeah.
kill people, but like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
of course, the Lazarus pit. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
like, but like that was kind of cool, but I just yeah, I don't know. There's also, I love, Jim Lee as the artist, but, like, there are some critiques, like, the Riddler. looks dashingly handsome except for a slightly pointed nose, and like Jim Gordon. And this of the time, Jim Gordon is ripped. Can't we have like a normal police chief? I know
Well, it's
he's
so
Batman for a minute too, but like,
it's so funny. You should
he's
say
the
that.
best looking 60-year-old man ever.
Right.
We brought that up in the Gotham Central talk
Mhm.
where it's like, in Gotham Central, the thing was so great about that is they were drawn as like real people. Like, it was, I think it was like Steve Lieber and I remember whoever did the art on that, but like everyone looks like disheveled. And we were saying like, oh, but man, if Jim Lee had been drawing this, like Gordon would be a buff and ripped and barely,
Yeah.
straining through his shirt and all that, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I even like, you know what? I even like the conceit that it was the Riddler, and he was sick of not getting enough credit for how like smart he was.
Mhm.
I almost found it weird when Batman was like, this was too big for even for you." Like that was like a put down of like, "Fuck,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like, what the hell? I'm catching
Like, all right,
strays
dude.
here. Like
Yeah.
I do crime. I do crime, bro. Like why are you dealing with me if I'm not that big of a
Right.
leave
For
me
you
to
or a-hole.
leave me to Gotham City PD. But I think it would have been slightly better because they revealed that this motivation, but he does look like a clown still. And that's Batman's
Yeah.
whole point. You're just like a goofy villain. So he hasn't obviously gone through I was talking about how he does, classic characters well. This is the one where I feel like it's a slight miss in creative, like, he does look like a dope, and so it does come across a little flat. Like, this would have been the perfect time you show him earlier in the early issues, like goofball Riddler, and here's the perfect
Mhm.
time to reveal a more sinister, updated Riddler, like, who was behind all these machinations and did want a little bit more street cred. Here's where you do a little nice little costume uplift, and have that
Mhm.
on a cover, and then
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, ooh, interesting." So, I thought, like, how long is it till he gets a upgrade?
He did, if I recall afterwards, like he kind of
Like, was
upgrades
it
a little.
years or in his look, or was it shortly after this?
I don't remember. Doesn't he become like a crime fighter for a little bit, Josh? If I recall, like
A
Riddler, like where
little,
he like help.
yeah, a little bit. He kind of gets like the Pied Piper and Trickster.
Does he have the Venom
Mhm.
storyline too?
A little
Or
bit.
was that
Yeah,
much
he's
later? That was much later then.
uh,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's much later, but also he gets he gets another like kind of redesign with the war on riddles and laughs or something like that. That Tom King storyline with Batman, where he looks like more of like a dashing businessman than
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
creepy
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Um, and he's a lot more sinister
Mm,
in that book
mm.
too. But
But
I mean,
I mean yeah,
if you're
go ahead.
looking for like a really cool like Riddler redesign, or just like look like definitely check out the absolute Batman Riddler. That is
Oh,
like a
yeah.
cool like origin, and also like redesign of the Riddler that like makes like super sense. And it's just a cool look. Like
Yeah.
he's very like cyborgish, like he's very like computer.
Hmm.
um it's
I'll have to check
I
that
mean,
out.
yeah, I mean,
Absolute, I hate to say this joke, but absolutely Batman. Absolute Batman should absolutely be red.
yes, it's very good right now.
Yeah. It and
Um,
Wonder Woman are phenomenal, and
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter, and
the
Superman's not bad either.
those are slight critiques on the art, but, like, at the same time, like, this last page with, like, Bruce,
Cat.
distrusting, you know, Catwoman, and suspicions creep in. I love the tree shadow over the back of Batman as he's
Mhm.
questioning her. It's like tendrils of suspicion still kind of haunting him. And, it was kind of funny. They gave us the whole Selena Batman romance is really happening, and then they pulled it away,
Yeah.
pulled
Of
the ball away
course.
from us.
Not too much change. You have to reset everything by the end, you know what I
Y
mean?
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
his only love is the mission.
Yeah, well,
Batman has no time for love.
no, he does not. We were gonna discuss Hush too, but you know what I think, Derek? I think we should save that discussion
Yeah.
for when the
For when
issue
it's
finally
done.
finishes,
In
and we're gonna have you back
2030.
on. Yeah, yeah, 20, and we're gonna have you back on to talk Hush too if you feel comfortable with that. How do you feel?
Nice. I am down. I would love it.
Because I was rereading those issues this morning, and holy shit, those are
It's gonna be
insane.
Very much a different discussion.
It's gonna be a different discussion.
Looking forward to
Uh,
it.
yeah, if you don't mind that. Is I hate to put you on the spot, like, live, well, semi-live. I will say, like,
Yeah.
overall, like, I felt like this book was, like, The Long Halloween by way of Michael Bay, if that makes any sense. Like, Michael Bay, he's a director and it's very flashy and some of it's good and some of it isn't. That's how I felt about this book is it's very much the Long Halloween, but was like by way of Michael Bay. That's how I kind of like fashioned
Yeah.
the
This was
Hush.
Bad Boys 1, and then Hush 2 will be Bad Boys 2. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh boy. I don't know. Bad Boys 2 is pretty awesome. So
Okay. Bad Boys 3 then.
there we go.
Still bad boying. Josh is actually Derek, I saw you had a little note in here about the deluxe edition. Do you want to give a shout out to that?
Oh, no, I was just like, if you're into like, yeah, the back, like I've been talking about, the back has like a lot of the pencil works of Jim and the pencil works of Jim, plus a lot of, yeah, he does the little annotations to the different pages and little Easter eggs that he drew in and stuff like that, behind the scenes stuff. So I found that very interesting.
Oh, cool. That's yeah, no, that's good. That's good. The other one that when we did Marvels, it was like that too. There was like huge, the whole
Yeah.
back, like half of it is like just all annotations, which I personally love that kind of stuff. So that's cool. Speaking of like that, what other reading can fans if they like this, what should they read, Josh?
I think a lot of similar reading is like we've said a couple times, more than once. Long Halloween, Dark Victory,
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns is also very good. Paul Dini, funny enough, like really has a lot of good Hush storylines, like House of Hush and Heart of Hush. You
Yeah.
get that whole he like changes his face to look exactly like Bruce Wayne. There's like there's a Hush like side quest in that Arkham City game too,
Yep.
which I think
Yeah.
Paul Dini had a lot of to do with the storyline of that. Excuse me. And then some more like Jim Lee goodness with DC is like Superman for Tomorrow is a fun book to read as well with Azarello. Excuse me.
You're not gonna talk about All-Star Batman? That was Jim Lee.
Yeah, I've already mentioned it, and I think we're okay with that. Re-mentioning it. We'll move on from All Star Batman. Yeah, that one's weird. Have you read All Star Batman, Derek, or heard of it?
Yes, I have. I have not
Okay.
read it all though, but I do have some issues from back when it came out.
Oh, nice, nice.
It's very pretty. I will give it that.
Yeah, yeah. I think.
That's where oh, good.
Oh, sorry. You go.
I was just say that's where we had I'm not gonna say who it was, but there was a person that we worked at the G4 who had the account, the goddamn Batman, and that's where that account name came from. Was from the All Star Batman book. I'm the goddamn Batman.
I think also, but another ones are like the Under the Red Hood. If you want to
Yeah.
continue with the Jason Todd storyline, I think that was good. I think one of the best like animated movies is the Batman Under the Red Hood. That one's really good.
Mhm.
If you want to watch that, I think it might be still on HBO Max.
I
Um,
will say this, Josh, you are the king of all those cartoons. So when you
yeah,
actually do recommend it, you're the person to list to on that, man.
Well,
it is one of the top ones.
I was gonna say too, because this like goes through kind of his rogues gallery. Each issue kind of fights
Mhm.
different one of his villains. Like, isn't Mask the Phantasm? He kind of like goes through and there's a meeting with most of them.
Um, I don't. It's not Mask of Phantasm. Not really, because it's really just the Joker and like all the mob
Oh,
stuff. And
okay, never mind
it,
then. I thought he had
well,
like Two Faces in it and some others.
well, there's a story. There's a storyline in like Batman animated series where there's like an episode where it's like I almost got him or I could have
Oh
got him.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
each one kind of saying like how they almost got Batman, and
yeah. That's
so
right.
I
That's what
and
I'm
that
confusing it with. I
oh,
think.
which I mean, even just the Batman animated series, just I will always recommend that for anything that you want to reread with Batman. And then also, what I always will recommend if you like kind of because this storyline really used all of the Bat family as well, like Robin, Nightwing, Huntress, and Oracle. We didn't really shout out Oracle a lot, but like she has had a big part
Oh,
in a lot of
we
this.
did. There's a lot of stuff we glazed over. I mean,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
rip right through this. So there's a lot.
We
If you're
spent an
interested,
hour, the first hour, talking about other stuff.
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, no, if there's just like this is just because we covered a lot. There's so much we didn't that
Yeah.
you will still have plenty to read if you decide to pick this up.
So, but with that though, like, definitely look up Batman Gang War. Not
Oh,
Gang
that
War.
is your war games.
War games. Sorry, Batman War Games. I'm gonna
Gang
bring
War
that up.
sounds cool though.
It does
That's
sound
that's
cool.
actual Marvel. I think it's like
That's
Spider-Man Gang
Spidey,
War or something.
It's Spidey. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Spidey.
but no, it's Batman War Games. Definitely read that. I'm gonna mention that every
and
time.
it's not really I talked about it at the beginning, it's not really maybe great a great storyline, but the whole No Man's Land saga
Yeah.
involves all the different Bat family, involves all the different Rogues Gallery people. It's very long, but and it's of this time period too.
I was gonna say, to be honest, like that's to me, like like I said, I love Spider Clone Saga. No Man's Land is the Spider Clone Saga of Batman, but the right way, the good
Mhm.
way, if that makes sense. Not that like, oh, there's any like analogs to one, but it's like it's so all encompassing and goes on for so long. Like it's really cool. I agree
Yeah,
with
I
you
would
on
say
one
that
there.
if you yeah.
Um,
Righteous. All right. So I mean, I think that's really our breakdown and just our discussion of Hush. I think we all overall we are all fans of the book, and at very least the art is really the highlight
Oh.
of it, I would think.
yeah, I agree with you on that one.
So
So
with
go ahead, Jeff.
with that,
Go,
I mean,
sorry.
we got we I think we recommend this book, but also what other recommendations do you have, Derek and Brian? Of what are you currently reading right now? Like what do you recommend somebody else pick up at their comic book shop?
You go ahead, Brian.
All right, so I'll just give a real quick shout out. Web of Venom. It's just came out a couple of weeks ago. It's by Jordan Morris and Luke Ross. Now, full disclosure, I work with Jordan, or I don't work. I swim with Jordan Morris. He's on my swim team. He does a bunch of podcasts. He's doing a Predator book. He's doing another book that came out just this week. But if you're a fan of the Superior Foes of Spider-Man, if you remember that book by Nick Spencer,
It's one of my
this is like
favorites.
you will love this book. It is based. I don't want to. I'm not going to spoil who it is, but it's basically a spider. It's a Venom symbiote costume that looks like Spider-Man, and it's taken over someone, and it's revealed in the issue who it is. But it's very much in line with Superior Foes of Spider-Man. I was talking to Jordan about it. He's like, yeah, that was one of our inspirations. So if
Hmm.
you're looking for that sort of comedic, fun Spider-Man kind of book, this is the book up your alley. And the art is a lot of fun. So anyway, that's my recommendation for this week. What about you,
Well,
Derek?
what about you, Derek?
I'll go in a different vein, since I'm not as up to date on the current comic runs. But I'll recommend plug for your guys' podcast, the
thank you.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin podcast, and then subsequent reading the book is great. Thanks for
What
putting me
exactly?
on that. And
Thank you,
and
because that episode didn't do very well for us.
oh well,
Yeah.
I
So
liked it.
get those numbers up.
I
Dang,
liked
it's a
it.
fun book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great book, and unfortunately, I feel like there's news that the movie was just kind of canceled, trashed, but that would be a great movie. Also, if you like this art, you probably already like David Finch's art, but he has a YouTube channel, does great videos and live streams, really informative stuff, fun to watch him. So if you're into art at all, highly recommend checking out his YouTube channel, watching his live streams. He talks to chat, and he does amazing work. And then also, yeah, if you're a Jim fan, he used to stream a lot more. He hasn't streamed since I think October last year or December last year. But if you subscribe to his, or if you get on his Discord, they make announcements when he does stream. If you're a subscriber of his Twitch, you have a chance to win actually, like
What?
whatever he's drawing on that stream
Wow.
at times. So he does
Hmm.
giveaways. So his streams are always cool. He has VODs that people clip and put on YouTube. Those are also super informative, and you get to watch him draw. It's great. I watch him all the time.
That's really cool.
That's
What about you,
awesome.
Josh?
I'm really taking the time to catch up on Absolute Batman, so I think that has been
Good pick.
my recommendation. I think that one's really Derek, I think if you haven't
I've
started
been
reading
hearing
it,
good things.
it's
It's
very
very
fun.
popular.
It's very fun. It's very like the conceptualizing of like Batman and different the rogues galleries and stuff is just super smart, super phenomenal. The art is on like it's comic booky. It's very honestly it's very Tim Sale
I've seen
Oh,
some
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
art. So I mean it's super just super fun. It's like different it's what like
New
it's
52
what's
wanted to be.
basically, yeah, and or just it's like it's what made like the Ultimate Comics like fun
Mhm.
too. It's like different twists on characters and different avenues of things that you knew. Like Arkham, like in Absolute Batman, is like a whole. It's spelled Ark ARK and then M, so it's like it's a different facility of like these multitude of facilities type of thing. So it's stuff like that, and then just and but what's great about it is it still has the core kind of just heart of Batman and all these different rogues and things like that. It
That's
still
cool.
keeps the core heart of it. So it's definitely
What's
worth
funny
checking
too
out.
is like you guys talked about this kind of reviving comic book sales. I know that run, that
Yes.
series, the
Yeah.
aftermarket on it is like high for like the
Oh,
first
it
time in a
is.
long time.
Especially in that first issue.
Well, it's funny you should say that because two things. Number one, I think with all the reprints, that first issue was sold over 1 million copies. Like with
That's
all the
crazy.
reprints, I had an extra issue and I ended up flipping it at my comic shop. I was like, I was afraid the market was going to crash out on it. And luckily I sold it at peak and it's dipped a little bit, so I don't feel too bad about it. But I ended up like flipping my second or my first my extra copy of it just because I'm like, if this bottoms out, I'm gonna regret it. And if I sell
Right.
now, I can get some good stuff. I ended up getting like a Beta Ray Philip Ray first appearance and a few other things for it, which I'm happy
Nice.
with. I'm like, I'll even if that is all I had gotten, even though like
Yeah.
equitably it's not the same thing, it's like that's fine. I'm like, I don't feel like I got taken for a ride because it's like I paid $4 for the issue,
Yeah.
and I'm getting Beta Ray Bill and reprint. I'll take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. So yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, little fun there.
Awesome. Well, that is the end of our show. So, Derek, thank you so much for being on the
Yeah,
episode.
dude,
I
thank you
really
so
fun
much,
discussion.
man. This was a
Thank you so
blast,
much.
dude.
It's been really good.
Thank
And
you.
It's just the normal person I have to talk to on. Oh,
It's so funny. It's so
Ah.
funny. It hurts my feelings just so much. This was a long episode, but it didn't feel like a long episode. So I appreciate, a lot of great
Yeah.
insights. So thank you for
Yeah, you
joining
were
us.
great, man. Thank you.
I don't know how many I had, but thanks for saying it though.
No. When you're going into the deluxe issue and giving us panel by panel,
Yeah.
like whenever you mention the ink in the colorist, I think we're getting.
I wanted to be the
deep
A
dive,
student
so
in the class, you know.
There we go.
Dude, you were the A+ student, baby. You got yourself invited back in the
I was
episode.
bringing you guys apples. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like the episode as much as we did, please make sure to subscribe to us. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Amazon, we're on mostly anywhere that you
iTunes,
listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Also, you can hit us up on Instagram. I'm on We Got Issues and We Got Issues Cast, and it's your favorite Josh on Instagram. And Brian, where are you at?
You can find me on Instagram as Speedo Jedi, or find me on Blue Sky, or on formerly known as Twitter as the BComp. Karen DeGrazio set me up that account for me way back in the day. Did you know that, Derek?
Wow. Another throwback.
Another little G4 alum. And where can we find you, Derek, excuse me.
At @lowheat_fancypants on Instagram, or at @lowheatfancypants on YouTube. It's a streetwear shoe account, hence the silly name.
And that's you mentioned earlier, but that's where you stream sometimes too, or where?
Yeah,
where you
on
stream YouTube.
YouTube, you can catch me. I do have a Twitch account, another different
Mhm.
name, Fancy Pants OG on Twitch. But yeah, that's
Awesome.
yeah, on occasion.
Awesome. And please make sure to subscribe. I just said subscribe, but also give us 5 stars and recommend it to your friends. If you liked us, give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
If you didn't like us, give us 5 stars.
And comment that you want them to do video podcast,
yeah.
and that they need to get on
Derek,
clipping out.
It's on
clipping
the
and
horizon,
posting.
Derek.
Derek, if you want to edit it all and have time to do that, I will for sure do some video stuff.
We just screen capture this, and you're good.
See, I can't even edit that correctly though. That's the whole thing. I ain't got no iMovie. I ain't got no Final Cut.
You
Premiere.
do that on your
anybody
phone
does,
nowadays.
Avid.
That's
But
true.
okay.
But and also, I mean, hit us up on the comments or on our socials if you want us to chat about something like like Derek brought in Hush. We also covered Ghost Rider before, things like that. So we're always willing to do some deep dives or discussion on your favorite storyline or even character. And with that, though, Brian, what are we discussing in our next episode?
In the next episode, we are taking a page from the past and we are going to be taking on the Invincible Compendium number 2. We did Compendium number 1 earlier last year, and now we're picking up the second compendium, which covers issues 48 through 96, as well as a few specials. So kind of nice, the show's going on right now, so it's kind of a nice time to double up on that.
The show is very good too. This is a great season too. Yeah. I think that's really it. So thanks everybody for listening. We will catch you on the next one.
Thank you very much, Derek.
Thanks.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.